Are you ready?
Clear, clear, clear.
It's time for a live stream.
You are privileged AF.
It's important to remember that.
It's okay to cry.
And it's also common to experience
deep belly laughs.
Hi, I'm Kia.
Why does this sound cold every second?
If you like jokes about scams, spirituality, and toxic positivity,
It's so quantum.
This is actually legit.
it's time to tune into.
The mango frequency.
Wait, what?
So let's dive right in.
Got my celery juice right here.
I am not emotionally stable.
Hey, do you like that? Dang. Did I just edit that like 30 minutes ago on a whim? It's like, you know what? I need an intro. No one knows what they're getting into. Nobody knows what they're getting into these days, and I think they should be warned. The type of content they will be witnessing, potentially, if things go well. And also, I can use it on my trailer page, which is what I've been... Thank you. Which is what I've been wanting to update for a while. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We made it once again. It is Wednesday. I've selected this day strategically because I am in the midst of a 7-day, $7 gym pass that was started on Monday. And I have 7 days to try out this gym because I need a new gym. The one that I loved dearly is closed, has been closed actually since 2020. So it's about time I figure out where else to go. And so Monday, Tuesday was cardio and then weights. And then I figured instead of doing cardio again, I just need a little break. And then tomorrow I can go to the gym. So this will not be a permanent day necessarily. Wednesdays, I know that the other streamers, Savannah, one of which being Savannah, streams on Wednesdays. So probably won't stick to this day, but you know, we're just making it work here. And I apologize to all the Europeans out there who are, you know, tired, but my work schedule does not allow me to stream during the day anymore. So maybe if I do a weekend day sometime, then we can do an earlier one. But for now, the late nights, it is what it is. It is what it is, everybody. Okay. And you can watch the replay and you just pretend that you're there. It's the same experience, basically. Anyways, okay. Where am I? Well, I am live right now, where Rachel Hollis may or may not have walked once. Probably not, based on the Reddit information that I have read about her experience walking the Camino de Santiago, which definitely, for sure, 100% guaranteed has been on her bucket list, has been on her dream list forever, even though she's never talked about it ever before. and has consistently said that she hates outdoor activities for centuries, but then just so happened to get a new boyfriend who likes outdoor activities. And now she has told us the truth that she's always also loved outdoor activities, especially in Europe, which is where her boyfriend is from, if you didn't know. So I have not listened to this podcast episode. I have not listened to anything Rachel Hollis in months. Can I say months? At least a month. At least several weeks, which has been such a blessing. I chose joy for my life by not listening to anything Rachel Hollis related. I still go on the Reddit though. I'm back on the Reddit, just reading mostly, sometimes posting, sometimes longtime lurker, sometimes poster in the Hollis Uncensored Reddit. Back again. And so I kind of keep up that way just to see if anything crazy is happening. And right now, nothing's crazy. Heidi is on a 1-week detox from her phone. And we don't know where she's at. I'm hoping that, people in her life know where she's at. But I'm going to guess that Heidi is doing some sort of, ketamine treatment, or because she's alluded to doing ketamine treatments before recently, or she's doing ayahuasca in the jungle, or she's doing some sort of sound bath retreat. I don't know, something that's kind of wacky. But I'm sure she'll post about it when she returns. And she said that they take her phone away unless she's like serving jail time. I don't know what place takes your phone away from you, but yeah, I'm sure she's somehow mentally taking photos or has like a Polaroid camera that she's gonna, document everything, because if Heidi Powell doesn't do things unless it's recorded 50 million different angles. So before we move on, Asari Shepherd, thank you so much. Asari Shepherd says, Rachel Hollis gonna ride her grift. I think that's what it says. Grid it. Rachel Hollis is going to ride her grid it till it's dead. I think it's grift. And yes, I agree. She will never stop. And apparently she confirmed, according to Reddit, that she was at 60 employees back in the heyday of 2020 before everything came crashing down. The divorce was announced and Toiletgate happened the next year. Went from 60 at the high level, and her goal was to have 100 employees, down to now 1, which is what we've been speculating. But apparently she confirmed that speculation on a recent podcast. So that's the interesting update there. We already sort of knew that. She's still with her boo thing. We're going to talk about that for a hot sec, because he's made his debut. He's made his hard launch. He is now on the Instagram. He's in the promo reels. He is going to be, I'm sure, starting up their relationship podcast any day now and be dragged in to this nightmare that we call social media any given day. Because I think that's what exactly happened to Dave Hollis. Unfortunately, he was like a regular person living in a regular life, sort of, and then slowly but surely, the pictures of him and his participation in live streams and in blogs like slowly came in, and that's what we're seeing again with Rachel Hollis's boo thing, her boyfriend Kez Dark. And we'll talk about that. But first, again, we're going to go through the comments. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Happy Wednesday, once again. JLB Nerdy, thank you so much. JLB Nerdy says, glad to see the internet's fave walking pad gal. Yes, I just actually, within the last 10 minutes, got off my walking pad. And if you would like to purchase the exact walking pad that I use to get my 10,000 steps so I can practice, because I actually really do want to do this. And I will admit that I sort of had heard about it, like the El Camino Trail, but I never knew what it was. So being alerted to this and looking into it, I'm like, this is pretty cool and I want to do it. So thanks, Rachel. She's always telling me things that I can do with my life, and I appreciate her so much. So shout out to Rach. There's a link in this description, actually. I put the link because people have asked me, because I post about it on Instagram a lot. So I put the link to the walking pad in the description. It's like $300. If you have $300 extra laying around, great. If you don't, outside is fine, unless it's cold. Or if you live in an area where there's, traffic or something. If you live on a highway, don't go outside to walk. Thank you, JLB. And for that I say,
You are smart, but you aren't this smart.
You are smart, but you're not smart enough not to go outside onto your highway driveway and walk through traffic. Am I right? Am I right? Also,
You probably have parasites.
there you go. You never know, everybody. You better check yourself. I'm just kidding. No one has parasites here. DC, thank you so much, DC, and welcome back. DC says, listening and crafting. Glad to have Kia's World streams back. Oh, thank you. What are you crafting? Let me know. What are you crafting? Are you making latch hooks? Are you making ceramics? Are you making a wood bench? Let us know.
Okay, Colt.
And also, I have to say this to you.
I went to work at an orphanage.
I went to work in an orphanage, says Ed Millet. Let's do a throwback. This is for you, DC.
You have to think instead of sitting around eating Skittles and watching Oprah reruns.
Thanks, Dave Ramsey. And DC also says, was her boo thing on the cover or was that Cody from Sister Wives? That is Kez. All the K names, even though Kez is spelled with a C, it sounds like Cody. So they could be brothers. They could be brother husbands. Oh my gosh, they could be a new someone called TLC. They need a new show. And DC, I also say this to you.
Somebody ought to smack you.
Not really, but that's what Dave Ramsey told me to tell you. And then Sarah H. Thank you, Sarah H. Sarah H. picked a pair character cheerfully blowing a party horn. Well, you got to have another one for that. Thank you, Sarah H. Thank you very much. And also, what did we learn, everybody, so far in the stream?
Nothing.
Nothing. We've learned nothing. Okay. Yeah, we need a side-by-side of Cody and Kez. Let's take a looky-poo at Kez in case you're like wondering what's going on. And also, let me just show you. Let me just get y'all on board here. Let's just scroll down for a second. I love going back in time. So if you remember correctly, when they first started dating, which was like years ago now, like 2 years ago, right? Probably, I think it was like 8 months after the divorce. She makes it seem like she's the person who's been single the longest in the entire world. She's like, I was single for so long. I can literally write a book about it, and I will. I was single for 8 months before I met the true love of my life, who I will be starting to do a live show with soon. That's basically what happened. So the first, we sort of knew who it was already, or a lot of people on Reddit sort of figured it out based on like who she was following, and she had mentioned that she was on like the Raya app and whatever. And so this is the first one, and it's just like a subtle heart, and no one knew who this was. We were like, is this a picture of her brother? Is this like, who is this person? It was, there was speculation as to, okay, it's Kez, but like if you were just to come across this, you wouldn't know who this was. And it was just a yellow heart. So a lot of mystery here. And this again was 109 weeks ago. Okay, so then there was, posting, blah, blah, blah. This is an event. No, this is not the one. There's one where you see just the back of his head. Oh, this one. Okay, festival love. Okay, so again, subtly adding him into her narrative. Like, I'm dating guys, I'm happy, but I'm not going to share. I'm not going to make them. She said this in a podcast back then. Like, I'm not going to make that mistake again, everybody. I'm not going to have my relationship be part of my brand. Fast forward to today. You can see the progression. Okay, he's in this one from 2022. Okay, we're making progress. Skipping ahead. Oh, we got a full face photo on his birthday in May. And then scroll. Now we're hugging each other. We're so in love. This is definitely not performative. Who's taking this photo? Probably a fairy, probably her spirit guides. They just want her to be happy, you guys. The goal of the universe is to make sure that Rachel Hollis is so happy and so fulfilled and so abundant at all times. That is what makes the axes turn of the earth, as we all know. And then continue on, scrolling up, and we skip ahead. There's a lot of time in between all these, by the way. Her hating skiing. Is he in this one? No. She hates skiing alone. Then she's alone for a while. Then we're like, where is he? Oh, he took a video of her, little definitely not planned video that he I'm sure just was like, you know, she had no idea. She was so focused on the concert that she had no idea that this candid moment was taking place. Okay, scroll ahead. All right. And then we're getting up to modern day. Okay, here's some more in love. Another birthday. So we're a year later. Okay, he's allowed now. He's allowed to be in these photos. And then here we go. We're getting to the real juicy stuff. Scrolling up. Okay. So this is the screenshot. Now it's just a video of the kids and her and him hiking. Rachel Hollis's favorite activity, as we know. It's definitely not, you know, being a bougie bitch as she actually is.
Your girl is a bougie bitch.
But, you know, he's getting to be in all the videos. He was in the vlog as well on her YouTube. And then, but where's the one that was just posted? This one. And of course, now the update is the comments are off. You can't make comments about this. You can just love it. You can only like it and just really feel that this is, you know, genuine. And again, who took this photo and why and how and what purpose? And I thought we were not going to do this again, but here we are. And then there's this one, and this is posted just 6 hours ago. She knew we were going to do this live stream, so she gave us some additional content to use. So, you know, again, just a very artsy, candid photo that was not planned for sure. Here is the aftermath, I believe, of the Euro trip that we're going to discuss on her podcast today. There she is. Again, our girl Rach walking for a short period of time before she allegedly quits. But makes it a big deal that she learned so many lessons to give to us, even though she quit halfway through, or not even halfway. She quit like 4 days too early or something. Anyways, okay, so this is her on this Camino de Santiago. And again, like I said, she has wanted to do this for years. But once again, when she used to talk about her dreams, it was to fly first class or fly private, to pop champagne whenever she wanted, to be the #1 mogul in the world, to be meeting Oprah. I never heard any hiking things until this guy came around. But okay, I guess it could have been for the brand, and now she's doing this for the brand. And there he is, Kezi Poo, eating a sandwich. So again, being part of the content, he's there. He's definitely there. She wants to make sure you know he's there. And he's also the Instagram husband taking photos of her from behind. Definitely, once again, very candid. And, you know, you got to set the camera, the tripod for this shot to make sure that they get them eating, because the people need to know. The people need to know what it looks like when two people are sitting at the side of a Spanish trail eating. And again, cannot comment. I can't comment. I can't do it. Okay, but here's the caption. And then apparently also via Reddit, the caption makes it seem like this trip went one way, and then the podcast makes it seem like it went the complete opposite, which is pretty common for Rachel Hollis. And Kendra knows what I'm talking about, right, Kendra?
I felt like she said one thing and then said the complete opposite.
That is a fair assessment. Okay, so here we go. Here is the caption. I've dreamed of walking the Camino de Santiago for years, but couldn't figure out how to pull it off with 4 kids. Having 4 kids is like having 1,000 kids. Am I right? I'm sure she was like, her hands were withering away because she couldn't write that anymore. The 500-mile pilgrimage typically takes at least 40 days. But for the first time ever, all my kids are at summer camp at the same time. Now, a little bit of, I'm not a parent, but a little bit of judgment going to be thrown from me. Her daughter Noah is so young to be at sleepaway camp, especially after the year they just had. I feel like she must be very, very resilient. And I'm saying that as a sort of, I don't believe children are that resilient at that age. They need kind of stability at that point, especially like, again, Noah's like 6 or 7 years old now. She's had a pretty tumultuous start, I would say. Divorce, public, being paraded on Instagram all the time by her parents. Now they're split. Now they're traveling all the time. There's like another family with, Heidi and her kids, and she's being involved in that. There's nannies, and then, her dad dies. And then, now Rachel's in Spain. Like, I don't know. Now she's at camp, sleepaway camp. It seems like a lot. And again, I'm not a parent, but that's me being judgy. Like, seeing it from afar, I'm like, wow, she must be the perfect child, because I think I would want to kind of be near my kids a little bit more. But okay, whatever. So I realized, while not conventional, I could take on the Camino in stages. So, flew to Spain, so relatable, flew to Spain and started walking 20 miles, then 13 miles, then 16 more, drank a lot of espresso, ate a lot of bread and cheese, stayed the night in pensions, I don't know, sorry, drank more coffee and beer, and pinchos, so many pinchos, sorry for all the pronunciation issues, broke out in tremendous blisters and hives. More on that later. Kept freaking walking. Oh my God. She overcame her own obstacles, you guys. But did she tune into her ankle? I don't know. Did you?
Let's tune into this ankle.
Did you tune into your toes or no? The most beautiful Basque country you can imagine. 1 million cowbells tinkling as you pass. Random strangers who offer you coffee and invite you in to use their restroom. Buen camino. So hard, so good, so grateful. Gracias por todo. Eskerrik asko. I don't know what that is. What a memory. Until next time, ... Okay, this is also 6 weeks ago. I want to just also play one small clip that she has on here. Where she's talking about running in the sun and she's making it a motivational moment, which I feel like is going to be the opposite advice as to what she's about to give on this podcast, which is that she quit, allegedly. And again, I can't make a comment on this because I don't know why. Okay, it says, it's not too hard. You can do anything. Okay, tell that. I'm preempting it, but don't run outside if it's 1,000 degrees out. Don't do a marathon with no training, because you could die, actually. Like, that is a fact. So just a warning in case you didn't obviously know that just by common sense. But if you want to listen to Rachel Hollis, don't do it. Okay, here you go.
I just finished a long run, and I finished a long run in 85 degrees on asphalt, which is hot as balls. And I was thinking about what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the voice in the back of my mind that kept saying, this is too hard. Or more specifically, the voice kept saying, you can't do this. You can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do this. It's too hot. You've already done a ton. You've already pushed yourself. You're already out here running. That's more than most people. Like, this voice has been playing in my head since I started running long distance a decade ago. And it shows up in other areas of my life, right? It shows up when business gets hard, when being a mama gets hard, when I'm trying to work on counting to 10 and breathing instead of yelling at my kids. Like, it shows up in all these areas of my life, this idea that it's too hard. And today, you know what I was thinking?
What?
It's not too hard. You just don't want to do it. It's not too hard. You know you can do this. You've done this kind of thing before. You've done this exact thing before. You've run when it's hot outside before. It's not too hard. You just know that it's going to suck. So if you want to quit right now, at least be honest with yourself about why you're quitting.
I thought we were supposed to listen to our body. I thought we were supposed to balance our hormones by by listening to our intuition and always trusting our gut. And if it feels too hard, then we need to back off and take a break and self-care, guys. I'm so confused. Am I supposed to do it and push myself, or am I not supposed to push myself? That's the problem with self-help. I don't know what the frick we're supposed to do. I need advice, but the advice changes every day, and the advice is different depending on who you talk to, but yet they're all friends and they all agree with everything that each other says, and it's very confusing. It's my song. Okay, continue.
Quitting. Because it's uncomfortable. Because it sucks. But don't ever tell yourself that you're quitting because you can't do it, because you can freaking do anything.
But why? Like, why? Like, running outside in the hot on asphalt is not something that's going to necessarily help you. It could actually hurt you in your progression to running a 5K. It actually could hurt you into having a medical emergency. Like, it's not like achieving your dreams. It's just a thing that probably is a good warning sign of your body telling you, like, she looks like she's about to pass out right now in the car afterwards. So I think this advice sucks. This is very vintage Rachel Hollis. And it seems like Rachel Hollis is going backwards into her old school mentality, which got her the fame in the first place, which is no excuses. I'm a hot, rich woman. And if you listen to me, you'll be rich and hot like me. And she recently, I just want to show you she's starting to do her nails again. Okay. We already talked about that. Oh yeah. Let's watch this. This is also a good one because it's about the podcast we're going to listen to. But she did a Rach Talk episode where she was like, I don't do my nails anymore. I think it's silly to do my nails. I'm all about that natural nail life. You know, I don't find it to be worth my time or something, like some, you know, like life-changing advice she was giving us about how if you do your nails, you're, you know, wasting your life. Okay, now she's got these big daggers again, and she's like, oops, I'm back. I'm doing it again. It's like, again, I've said this from the beginning. She'll say one thing and do another and doesn't care. And her whole thing is about giving you advice and telling you, you know, what to do. And she'll change herself in a year. And I guess that's the real lesson here is don't listen to anyone else but yourself. Honestly. But here we go. Okay. So this is the preview about the podcast we're about to listen to.
Part of the Camino de Santiago, the border of France, and you walk to the coast of Spain.
Okay, can you see her nails? They're very long. They're definitely acrylics. Which again, nothing wrong with that, but she made such a big stink about how like, I'm a hippie. I don't do my nails anymore. It's like, okay, well, that lasted about a year and 5 seconds.
40-day trek really breaks you down to your core. I'm having some kind of allergic reaction.
I mean, the music and everything, it's like, my feet were falling off. My toes were correct. Like this, yeah, it looks like she's got a rash, but it's a little dramatic. Like, I think she just didn't prepare enough.
Reaction. Then I put my socks and shoes back on, and I still have to walk 9 more miles to obsess over how something should be different or why this is unfair.
The music is too much.
Or why is this happening to me? And in this instance,
why is this happening to me? Hold on. Why is this happening to me? I decided to go to Spain for fun, to hike, which is apparently my dream, and it's been a dream for a decade. And I love hiking so much because I definitely had this idea before my boyfriend came around. Why is this happening to me? Why? Okay, sorry.
I just was like, it is what it is. There's nothing to do but take another step, so just keep walking. That particular goal reminded me that every great thing in my life has come on the other side of doing something.
It's like, girl, you quit after 3 days and you went on vacation. Like this, we don't need the inspirational like symphony behind this. It's like, I don't know. It's just so sad at this point. Like this is nothing. Once again, going to the ski lodge and skiing was not a lesson for all of the plebes of the world to learn from you. Like you are not Jesus Christ. No one's writing the Bible about your life story. I'm sorry. Like it's such a weird attempt to make anything deep and philosophical, which in reality, again, like I said, like she has an idea and it's like, oh, I don't get my nails because of this lesson I learned. And then 4 months later, she's back to it because she like doesn't give a shit. Because, you know, it's like, doesn't matter. It's just a thought that she had.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Anyways, Rainy Cannon, thank you so much. Rainy Cannon says, 1 like equals 1 prayer for Rach. She is such a warrior. Her life is so hard. Yeah. Rachel, let me think about how bad I feel for you. Hold on. I don't know. I couldn't think enough about how bad I feel for her, because it's really tough. I don't think there's anyone else in the world who's suffered as much as Rachel Hollis has suffered by not her own account. She's done everything perfect, and it's everyone else in the universe's problem that she's not happier at this point. Anyways. Okay, we're almost done with this.
That felt impossible when I was in it. Like, it felt sucky and hard, but on the other side of that was something I'm really proud of.
Okay. So, drama queen. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to it. Basically, this is a trail. I'm assuming she's going to explain it. It's in Europe. There's a bunch of different routes you can take. It can take shorter time or longer time depending on if you do the French one or the Spanish one. And along the way, you can stop at hostels, and you can get a passport book, and you get stamps on the book. It looks really cool. If you're interested in something like this, I would say look into it, because if you like hiking and that sort of thing, like I said, I'm definitely interested for real to do this in my life at some point. And I will prepare for it in advance and not make a vlog about it and tell you how it changed my life, with music behind it, because I respect you more than she does. Okay, everybody. All right. So here we go. It is 45 minutes, so it's actually a shorter one than typical Rachel Hollis podcast. I wish that she had a video. I'm assuming she's going to make a vlog about it, because there was footage of her and Kez eating a sandwich. So unfortunately, I just figured this is from August 8th, so we're running out of time, okay, to wait for her YouTube videos to be done. Her one employee to make the edits. That's a lot of pressure for him, for Jack. So where's Jack? Jack. Okay, so here we go. And if you have a question for Rach to answer, or an idea for a podcast episode, you can call and leave a voicemail. Okay, just wanted to let you guys know that that's a possibility. All right, here we go. Episode 458, a new realization while hiking the Camino de Santiago. Okay, here we go.
Conversations. This is information for the curious.
This is the Rachel Hollis podcast.
Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another
How is the sound? Is it leveled? Is it too loud, too soft? Let me know.
Episode of the podcast, and a conversation I have been promising myself for weeks and weeks and weeks. Today, I'm telling you about my latest personal challenge, my latest physical endurance challenge. I just got back from Spain, where I did a bucket list item for me, something I have wanted to do for years and years.
Yeah.
I walked part of, not all of, but part of the Camino de Santiago. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys about my most recent physical endurance challenge, and I'm going to tell you all about it and give you all the details in case you are interested in.
And also, just a reminder, the last physical endurance challenge she did an entire podcast episode about, where she was running into Bambi's dad and she was tuning into her ankle and she was having a psychedelic experience. She also quit that early. And the lesson there was, I'm listening to my body. I'm tuning into my ankle. I want to go eat a hamburger in the hotel. That's the type of person I am. Okay. Totally opposite to that. You can do hard things you can run in the sun, idiots. Instagram post that was from 3 weeks ago. Just a reminder that she also quit that one. And that one, what she did with Kez as well. So a little pattern I'm noticing, just a little pattern poo that I'm starting to see, that it's okay to quit, obviously. But as someone who says that she doesn't quit anything and she's never failed at anything before, let me see here.
This person is not okay.
No, that's true. But where's the, I'm not a person who fails. That's what I want. Hold on. Where is it? Like I said, I have all of my sound bites. Oh, here it is.
I am not someone who fails.
Yeah, that's what she says, which is cringe to say that about yourself. But
Okay, cool.
She says that and then quits. So I guess it's not failure if you quit, only if you physically cannot walk anymore. Is that a failure then? I don't know. So let her tell us. But first, hold on. Mai, thank you, Mai. Thank you so much. Mai says, hiking, more like hike queen. Yeah, hike queen. I like that. That's funny. I'll play this one again.
Let's tune into this ankle.
Let's tune into this ankle. Also,
I don't shave my chochi.
apparently she's back to shaving her chochi and her booty hole, according to her comedy skits that she's posting on Instagram as well. So I guess all of the things she learned 2 years ago about being free and having a wig in her panties is no longer relevant also. Okay, thank you, Mai. All right, here we go.
So taking on something like this. But if you hear this and you're like, that's kind of interesting, but there's no way that I could ever do a physical challenge like that, you need to go listen to episode 418. Like maybe even pause this and go listen to episode 418, which is my story of how I went from being 52 pounds heavier than I am today, couldn't walk half a mile, let alone run one. Like how I went from that to running marathons, climbing mountains, doing all of these physical things, how I did it, and also why.
Did you just start slowly and build your way up and also have more money and training and all of that? Probably, because I don't think that's, I mean, it's impressive, of course, sure, to go from not being a physically, active person to being physically fit. Sure, that is impressive. But like, she's at the highest end of, she has every resource possible to do this type of thing. And that's, typically the people who are involved in these very high level sports, these like extreme sports, climbing up Mount Everest, it's like people who have money and time. So she is number one who has both of those things. So can you find someone who's, a little bit busier that did it? I'd be more impressed, because if they can do it, then I can surely do it. Not that Rachel Hollis can do it. Anyone can do it. It's like, no, you have a special case.
Did it? Why that mindset shift happened? What were the obstacles along the way? How did I overcome them? Like I shared all of that information in episode 418. So if you are interested, but you feel like, no way that's for me. Yes, it is. It is for everyone. Doing your first 5K, doing your first half marathon, that is for everyone. And I don't care what kind of shape you're in. I don't care how old you are. I don't care. There is something.
A half marathon's pretty tough. I've been running for a long time, and I can't do a half marathon yet. I get in and out of practice. It's tough. Of course you can do it, but you're pushing your body pretty hard to get to that point. So 5K maybe, and again, everyone, no. Some people, sure. Everyone, absolutely not.
Out there for you. And I truly believe, especially women, when we take on an endurance challenge and we didn't know that we were capable of something like that, it fully changes the way we see ourselves. So go listen to episode 418. Now, if you are not familiar with this particular trek, this pilgrimage, so you walk from the border of France through Spain until you get to the coast. It's called the Camino de Santiago, literally the road of Santiago, because you're heading to a church called the Santiago de Compostela. And I actually heard about this trek when I was doing another physical challenge. So back in 2019, I did something called 29029, which is when
she did it after 2019 as well. She didn't finish it. She did it in 2019 with Dave and finished it, and then did it again in 2022, I believe, with Kez, and did not finish it. Maybe she's about to say that.
You attempt to climb the equivalent of Mount Everest in a single weekend. If you've never heard of this challenge, there's this incredible company, 29029, you can look them up. It's called the Everesting Challenge, and they rent out mountains. Yeah, I didn't know you could rent a mountain either, but you totally can. They rent a mountain at a ski resort during the summertime. So there's no snow on it, but there is a path. and they figure out the height of that mountain, and then they say, okay, well, Everest.
They figure out the height. The guy who owns the company, the CEO, is out there with a tape measure. We got to figure out the height of this mountain. No one's ever done this before. Rachel's like, am I the first one who's ever known the height of this mountain? I think they know. I think they have that information, Rachel.
Is 29,029 feet. So if you climb this particular mountain 8 times or 10 times or 13 times, depending on what the mountain is, if you climb this many times in less than 36 hours, you have completed the Everesting challenge. So I did this back in 2019. I completed the challenge. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. It was such a psychological,
Is she going to bring up that she did it again and didn't finish, or no?
Mind screw, because physically you're exhausted, but mentally you want to quit so badly, and you have to really control and focus your mindset to be able to finish what it is. And in fact, after I did that challenge is when I got my tattoo that says "Embrace the Suck," because that particular goal reminded me that every great thing in my life has come on the other side of doing something that felt impossible when I was in it. Like, it felt sucky and hard, but on the other side of that was something I'm really proud of. So when I first...
And Dave, after that event, got faster, stronger or something on both of his arms, because that's what he was telling himself while he was also walking up, and he wanted to quit. And Rachel said, I'm going to leave you here if you quit. And so then he kept going, and he was like, oh, I love Rachel. She's so motivational. I was like, ooh. Even back then I was like, ooh, it's a little, like, support your partner maybe, or no? Okay.
29 because I've done it twice. When I first did this challenge, I met an older gentleman as I was climbing the mountain, because you climb it over and over. The first time I did it, you climb 13 times. And what's rad is that you end up walking by people and you're walking a similar pace. So you just end up meeting new friends. And I heard someone describe it once as like a TED Talk on a mountainside, that you just talk to the coolest people. Because let's be honest, if you're the kind of person that's trying to climb the equivalent of Everest, you probably have some cool stories.
Including myself, I have the best stories because my name is Rach. And, I wrote a book called Girl Wash Your Face, but everyone else has stories too. I will never hear them because I will just be continually telling my own. But I'm sure they have things to say.
When I was on one of the ascents, I met this guy. I was like, oh, have you ever done anything like this before? And he said, yeah, I just did this thing called the Camino de Santiago. And I was like, what's that? I've never heard of it. And he tells me it's an ancient pilgrimage and it takes 40 days. You walk for 40 days across Spain, and you stay in these like little hostels at night, and you drink from fountains along the way. And it's this really amazing experience. He loved it. And I remember him telling me and me thinking like, that's interesting, but maybe not for me. But then it's funny how the universe kind of puts, like, it plants little seeds, like you'll hear about something.
It's funny. Then my boyfriend said, I'm doing this. And I said, I'll go too.
And then you'll hear about it again and again. And that was the case for me and the Camino. And over the years, I kept hearing about it. And then I found a book on it in the bookshop one day. And then I found another book. And then Shirley MacLaine wrote a book about walking the Camino, and Andrew McCarthy wrote a book about walking the Camino. And so I started to devour these books on the Camino and really began to dream of what it would be like to do this particular challenge. I've done marathons, I've climbed mountains, I've swum with sharks, I've skydived, I've done all this stuff, but this was a totally different thing in that you can't get it over quickly. And I really did learn this when I was actually on the road in Spain, is that most of the challenges that I've put in front of myself had a time limit, right? They had an end in sight that was achievable. Even climbing in the Everest challenge, within 36 hours, it's going to be over. But what was really interesting about this was that just you do it and you do the hardest thing and you walk all day long and then you go to bed and you wake up in the morning. It's like, all right, let's go again. And then you go to bed and then you wake up in the morning and it's go again.
It's almost like a metaphor for life. No.
So I was really intrigued by that kind of goal for myself. Like, what would it be like to do something that kind of messed with a different part of my brain? But
consistency, true.
The actual real life.
She does need to work on this, which is being consistent, because she's good at sprinting, you know, like getting from like a blogger to the biggest star ever really fast and getting on all these stages and being rich and then burning out real fast. She needs to work. I think if I was her life coach, I would tell her, slow down, take it all in, be more consistent, okay? And then you will be free. That's what I would say.
Obstacle in front of me was I have 4 kids. Oh, I have 4 kids and they're with me full time. I can't just like peace out for 40 days and go do this pilgrimage.
Having her children was the biggest inconvenience of her life. Other than the success and being able to call herself a mama and then relate to other mamas out there, other than the professional, like, I don't know, the professional boost that gave her in this space, they've been nothing but an inconvenience for her, is how she just talks about them.
I literally, you guys, I've had on my nightstand for, I think 3 years, a map of the Camino, like a book that was a map of the Camino, because
Sure.
I had a goal in my mind that, okay, someday these kids are going to like move out, they're going to be off to college, and then I'll be able to do this thing. Fast forward to, I don't know, 2 months ago maybe, and we're preparing for my kids to go to summer camp, because you got to prepare way in advance for your kids to go. So I was signing them up for all the things. They go to summer camp every year, but this was the first year that all 4 kids would be at summer camp. The boys have gone for a long time, but this is the first year my daughter was going. So I knew I was going to have 2 weeks with no children. And I was like, what do I want to do? And to be totally honest.
And also, she has been, that's a great point. She has been on tour this whole summer, and she's like, oh, I have my kids, so I'm going to do it once a month only. But then I feel like the schedule has become more, she's added more stops and she's going all over. She's been in California and Texas, I think, and like a bunch of others, maybe not Texas, but a bunch of places, New York, where she's traveled away from the kids. So I don't know what she's on about. Like, oh, I have 4 kids. But yeah, you've also taken like 17 trips this year without them. So it seems like, and I'm sure, I don't know. Like, it's just like you have them full time, but she's away from them more than I think 99% of most parents out there, it seems.
If you guys know my story, then you know it's been a really hard year. And you know that I have found myself full-time raising 4 kids as their only parent, which is a lot. It's a lot. So I kind of thought, well, maybe if I have these 2 weeks, maybe I should just go lay on a beach. Maybe I should just take a nap. I actually really thought about just staying home. Because any of you parents out there, there is a special kind of luxury that happens when you are at home but your kids are not home. Like when grandma takes the kids and you just get to be at home without them. Oh, it's glorious. So I kind of thought maybe I would do that.
It's glorious. Oh my God. I don't know. Again, I'm not a mom. I'm not a mama bear. I can't say on my podcast that I hate my children. I love all my free time alone. But as a former child, as I always say, that would hurt my feelings if I was hearing my mom say, God, I just cannot wait. Like, my mom did say something like that, like, oh God, I can't wait till you're 18. It's like, that really hurts. Like, it's not my choice to live here. It's like legal. It was ordained by God or whoever. And then it was legally bound in our country that you have to take care of me. So sorry, I'm such an inconvenience to you.
But then as it got closer, I was like, oh, I really want to do something. And I remembered that my word at the beginning of 2023, I always choose a word every new year. And my word was adventure. I really wanted adventure this year. And man, the universe, she laughed at that. And she hit me upside the head. And this year has been...
I don't think, I'm going to assume that she doesn't mean that Dave's death has been an adventure for her. I'm hoping that's not what she's inferring here, because that would be crazy.
But I thought, okay, you have 2 weeks. What's an adventure that you can have in 2 weeks? And so I started to think about it, and I must have seen something or read something or saw a quote. How could you find a different way to have the same experience? Like, for any of the goals that we set for our life or our bucket list items that you assume there's no way you're going to get to that thing until your kids are grown, or until this happens, or until you make this much money, or until.
Welcome, Beanbat. I'm going to check. Oops. I'm going to check to see if there's a comment. Hold on. Sorry. Stand by.
For me, I saw something and I can't even remember what it was, but it made me think, like, am I thinking about the Camino wrong? Like, is there another way that I could do the Camino? And to be honest, I was like, okay, well, I have 2 weeks. Maybe I could get my mom to come to town. Like, I was trying to figure out how I could get 40 days. And then I was like, wait a minute. What if I did the Camino in stages? Now, that is not traditionally how it's done. Traditionally, you start and you walk for 40 days or 50 days or however long it takes you. That's part of the process. But needs must, right? Like, you work with what you've got. And what I've got right now is 1, a desire to do this thing, and 2, 4 kids who need me. So I've got 2 weeks.
And I'm assuming here, based on what I read on Reddit, that she's got 2 weeks. So she's making this whole story about like how she only has 2 weeks and she needed 40 days, but she's going to make the most out of the 14 days that she does have, because that's what you should do. And you should just, take care of your goals any way you can. Okay. But in reality, she makes it like 3 days. So the whole point is, like, she had 2 weeks. She didn't even make it 3 days. What's the lesson here? Why is the 40 days important then at all? Because apparently it's not. And it's going to pop up in a second. But thank you so much, Part-Time Jiu-Jitsu. I always have trouble saying that. Jiu-Jitsu. This will be great content. Pilgrim and 1431 AT. Yes, that's what all pilgrimages started, was because they were etching the routes, their links into the stones across the path. Swipe up for more, and then you could follow them on their journey to the pilgrimage. That's what people did back then. It was a different time. Instead of, it was parchment paper and scrolls as opposed to scrolling on Instagram. Very similar though, very similar. That's it's basically the same thing. Oof. Okay, what about vacation labia?
Vacation labia.
That's what she's on, basically, a vacation. She's going to explain it 25,000 ways as to why it's like a life-changing event for you and everyone else.
My pubic hair.
Thank you, Part-Time Jiu-Jitsu. And thank you to LB Ejena. Thank you so much. They say, grief is not a linear process, and it may take years for them to feel all the emotions associated with losing a parent as a child. Poor kids. Oh my God, I totally agree. I feel like to even suggest that any kid, any good kid of privilege, a kid without, a regular middle class, whatever, to think like this amount Dave died in February. I don't think they're even over the divorce yet, like timeline. I mean, it's a hard road, and they're public, facing, and they're on social media, and their mom's busy doing stuff and moving. They went from one state to another state, back to the first state. And they're all in school still. They're not adults. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through, and to expect the kids to be totally fine, I think is ridiculous, to be honest. I hope that they're all in some sort of therapy right now. And if they're not, I hope that when they do become adults, they find their way there at some point, because nobody can handle that alone. I don't think so. The most well-adjusted person in the world would probably struggle given their circumstances. So I'm with you, LB. Ajena. And for that, I say, let's ask Heidi. Heidi, what do you say?
I am not emotionally stable.
True. And also,
It's okay to cry.
bingo. Thank you. Okay, back to it.
What could I do with those 2 weeks? I'm like, screw it. I wonder if there's a way to take the Camino in chunks. And there totally is. So I do a bunch of online research and I find a company. This is not an ad. Nothing I'm about to talk about is an ad. This is literally what I Googled and researched and found and what I paid for. It's guided tours all over the world that you do yourself. So it's like walking tours, biking tours of different parts of the world, and you pay this company to give you the guide. So you say, I have 7 days. This is where I'm starting. This is where I want to end up. And the two things they did that were so freaking clutch is they book all of your hotels for you and they transfer your bags. Now, let me back up, because if any of you have actually done the Camino the way it's meant to be done, then you know that most people do this 40-day trek with a full-on backpack, like Reese Witherspoon in the movie with the hiking boots, like the full-on backpack. And they carry everything with them on their back like a turtle. Your girl's not.
So what was she carrying then? Because she has a backpack in the photos. So that was a prop or what? She's like, I took the picture of the backpack just to make it look like I was holding a backpack. But like, what is that? She had a different backpack than this one. This is just the prop backpack. Also, I'm not a fan of the influencer hat. And if you're hiking, like, do you need this influencer hat? It's just for photos. Like, that's what it's for, because this can't really, like, a baseball cap would probably be more comfortable, or like a hat that's, not a Stetson or whatever this is. This seems old school cowboy. It looks aesthetically very cool, but I can't imagine that's the most comfortable hat to wear all day on a trail, personally. But okay, so aesthetic backpack that is being delivered to the hotel. Sounds really gritty. Sounds like a life-changing experience.
About that life, okay? My physical challenge was the hike, which was very intense, and I'm going to talk to you about that. My physical challenge was, can I walk for 16 miles every day over the top of mountains? Can I do that? That was my physical challenge. I don't need to know if I can do that with a backpack.
So what? So, okay, I'm confused though. Like, is this the backpack she's referencing? Is this like she put it next to her in the photo just before the company came and whisked it away? She walked like she's like, okay, before we leave the hotel, just like, let's go behind the pool deck and we'll do a little fakesy backpack photo. So it looks like it's going to look weird if I don't have any gear on. Or is there another backpack that she's referencing? I just want to know. I really want to know. Like, is this the backpack that she can't carry herself? Or what? Why does she have it on? Please let me know, Rachel, please.
And to each their own, but that's not where my heart was. So when I found out that there was a company that would literally, you drop your suitcase in the morning in your hotel lobby and a guy picks it up, takes it to the next hotel. Because if you think about it, you're 15 to 20 miles from the next city. It takes that car, like, sadly, it takes them like 5 seconds and it takes you all day. But that's not the point. This thing's called Max Adventure. We find that you can go 7 days. It's essentially 100 kilometers, and it like tells you all the cities you're going to stop in. It books the hotels for you, and it transfers your bags. Let me just
Hold up,
say
hold up.
one more thing about hotels.
This is a different backpack. Stand by. We need to figure out this mystery. This is the biggest mystery of all. Okay, this is one backpack, right? This is a different backpack. I believe this is a staged backpack. I feel like this is a bullshit backpack because why does she have two? Where did it go? That one must have been the one that was delivered, unless this is a totally different place. This is probably like California. She's like, I don't have enough pictures of me walking because I only walked for 4 seconds for this El Camino walk. Or Camino de Santiago walk. So just, I'm gonna put an extra photo in there so it looks like I'm doing something different because she's got a different hat and a different hat. I feel like this is a totally different place. What do you think? Oh, this is Kez? This is not her? Stop it. Oh my God, twins. Twins, Basil, twins. You're telling me this is not Rachel Hollis from the back. How do they have the same shape? Same hair? Okay, I'm not the only one that thought that, right? Come on. They look like twins. They're wearing the same hat. Cool. Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. Oh, man. All right. Well, that was a surprise. Okay, Kelsey, thank you. Kelsey says, Kia, she explains the backpack situation. Okay, sorry. All right, let me get off the backpack situation. Backpack gate. I'm trying to start it again. I need to boost my page here. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers. I got to get some sort of gate going again. So subscribe. Thank you. Okay, I'll shut up now.
Again, if you were doing the traditional pilgrimage, the way people, for real, the way Shirley MacLaine did it,
yeah, the shoes.
You don't stay at a hotel. You're meant to stay at hostels or you're meant to stay at churches, refugios. There's all of these like little places along this route where you stay on bunk beds, like sleeping in a room with a bunch of other people. Again, that's not for me. So we were staying in little pensiones, little hotels. These were not luxury by any stretch of the imagination, but they had hot water and our own bathroom. And
sure, they weren't luxury by any stretch of the imagination. It did cost $1,000 a night, but you know, this is a small price to pay when you're a self-help guru. It's going to pop up in a second. So thank you, Asari Shepherd. Asari Shepherd says, Molly Ringwald called. She wants her hat back. Yeah. Oh, Molly Ringwald. I love her. I miss her. I just want to also point out that they have the same shoes or very similar shoes. And that also was part of my confusion. Okay. So they have the same shoes. She's loved these shoes for years, even though she just bought them as soon as she met Kez because he had the same pair. But wow. Okay, that's interesting. He looks different here. Kez looks very different from the front than he does from the back. Once again, I'll just make that last comment. But they have the same shoes. Literally. Look at this. Twinsies. Very interesting. Let me know in the chat. Do you have the same shoes as your partner? Let me know.
I'm gonna stomp you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. All right. Back to it. I'm going to be quiet. I swear.
That's where we went.
Oh.
I find out
the meal is done.
that this thing exists. We do a ton of research, my boyfriend and I, trying to figure out if this is like the right thing for us. And then we're just like, let's go. Let's try it. And we had 2 weeks, but I didn't want to be crazy. I didn't want to do 2 full weeks of walking. So I said, let's do 1 week of walking and then like 4 days of bougie luxury on the back end. So our plan was 1 week doing the Camino, 4 days in Ibiza. I took a pill in Ibiza. No, I didn't take any pills.
I think I have that soundbite now. That joke did not land. Rachel. Too soon for me, personally.
I make the plan. we start researching. We figure out, as much as someone's like transferring our suitcase, you do need like day packs. We've had full-on backpacks that we walked with. What are the right hiking shoes? What are the right hats? What are the, like, all the equipment? So you do have to carry equipment with you because you are in the middle of nowhere. You're not in cities or towns, and it could start raining, or you could have injuries, or you need to like carry your water with you. It's a whole production. So we're nerds, and we got really excited. You know, all the Cotopaxi, all.
Am I the only hiking nerd? I'm such a hiking nerd. I'm a history nerd. I'm a hiking nerd. I didn't go to college or think education's important, but I'm such a history nerd. I'm such a hiking nerd. I didn't actually walk more than 5 minutes, but I bought all the gear. Got it.
All the North Face, all the Topo. If you guys are hikers, or you know what I'm talking about. But
brand
yeah,
name.
we did all the research. We got all of our gear.
Okay.
We get the kids off to camp. And then we flew from LA to London. I will tell you this, getting to the start of this trek it took a couple days. That actually was kind of a bummer, is like, it would be awesome to have been able to walk faster, meaning like to start the walk sooner, but you really do spend 2 days just getting there. So we flew from LA to London to Biarritz, which is in France. And then we drove from Biarritz to San Sebastian, and San Sebastian is where we started our journey. Now, there are many roads. There are many caminos. And
great point. She's never addressed this as to when. So she gets her nails done again. Okay, she's doing the acrylics again after she denounced getting them done. Okay, she cut her hair. That was one thing that she said, that Kez likes me to have long hair, but she recently cut her hair. And then she said, I am not contributing to the world's pollution any longer. It is ridiculous that I could not I love thrifted clothes. I'm just going to buy thrifted clothes from now on. Me and my boyfriend, we made a pact to never buy new clothes. Okay, that all sounds like the gear, the multiple brands that she just labeled and named, doesn't sound like that was thrifted. So I'm assuming, you know, that grift is over too. That was bullshit as well. It's just like, again, like, as someone who can't stick to something for a year or a year and a half at least without changing it, and you're publicly stating it to the world, it's just like, why would we ever trust you with, she did it, so I can do it. You can't stick to anything. It's very frustrating. It's annoying. But I guess, like, you know, the way that this influencer life works, it's like one person listens to one podcast and they don't necessarily listen to another one. So you just get that audience, hope they buy a journal, and then move on with their life, I guess. Katie, thank you so much, Katie. Katie says, have to imagine this alienates her original audience. Yeah, I don't know who her original audience is anymore, what the current audience is. I have no goddamn idea who is actually listening to this unironically any longer. But there must be someone, maybe SiriusXM just like given up on like actually having viewers or listeners, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's all hate listening. I have no idea who the audience is any longer. I don't think she knows either. And for that I say,
Buzzing with joy.
and also,
$18 stinking dollars.
Oops. Well, R.I.P. Dave. That was sad. I didn't know I had that one back in. Well, I'll add this one too.
I had this awakening in my kitchen.
Okay, and then thank you so much, Mai says, there are many Camino sound bites. Yeah, we'll have to do Ibiza. We went to Ibiza, which I guess is how you're supposed to say it, but the song is not Ibiza. He says, Mike Posner says Ibiza in the song, so she could have like sung that one normally. Anyways.
Deep belly laughs.
That's how I'm feeling thus far on this journey that we're on together. So thank you for being here once again. Okay, thank you, everybody. Back to it.
These roads have existed for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. They are so cool. Literally, sometimes you're walking on cobblestones that are like a gajillion years old. And you can feel the energy of what has gone there before. You can feel the presence of spirits. You can feel angels. You can feel It is a very spiritual experience. And I'm positive that the reason the pilgrimage exists and is so powerful for people even today is because that 40-day trek really breaks you down to your core. So there's all of these different roads that you can take.
How would you know, Rachel? You didn't do it. It breaks you down to your core. Like, how would you know?
And originally, I thought I was just going to do the standard Camino de Santiago. It's the same one that everyone does. But then I realized that there were a bunch. And I started doing research and found that there's one road in particular that you guys are going to die. It's way more physically challenging, but it has better food. And I might not be the person who is willing to carry my bag on my back, but I am the person who will climb mountains in order to have a better dinner. And that is what I did.
I'm dying. That is so Rachel Hollis. Oh my God, girl. That's so you. Oh, take my money.
Your girl is a bougie bitch.
Who cares about this other than yourself? Nobody.
So I actually did the Camino del Norte, which is the northern road. And what's so incredible, I just got chills thinking about it. What's so incredible about the Camino del Norte is it is stunning. Stunning. I cannot explain to you how gorgeous it is. It's Basque country. So it's, imagine France and Spain had a baby and that baby is Basque. And it's all along the coast. Utterly beautiful. If you're listening to this, at a later date, we did the trek mid-July and it was freaking gorgeous. Like one of the prettiest places I've ever seen in the world. And that's saying something. But the Camino del Norte, she does not play. She is all uphill. It was kind of our joke the whole time was like, when in doubt, when you're trying to find the road, when you're confused about where you go next, just look for whatever the next hill is because that's definitely the Camino. And let me tell you guys, hashtag worth it. Totally worth it. We start...
Hashtag didn't finish it. Okay, sorry. I'll stop being mean.
Our trek in San Sebastian. If you are not familiar with San Sebastian, it is the #1 city in the world with the most Michelin star rated restaurants. You're like, what? Where? Exactly. I don't know. I don't know why this fishing village has so many. I don't even know if it is a fishing village. People are going to be like, girl, it's not even on the water. I don't remember. I was very tired. But I do know incredible food. Oh my gosh. Incredible food.
Was it? Okay. It was so gorgeous. I had a map of this place next to my bed for 3 years. I have no idea if it was near the water or what, but I remember that the food was good. Okay, girl.
So our very first night, we go to this fabulous restaurant. It's like however many Michelin stars. We eat an amazing dinner, all the food. Because I'm like, what does it matter? We are about to walk forever. Which is, by the way, I'm not going to lie. Any of you who do endurance challenges, am I the only one? Mm-hmm. I freaking love when I have done something so difficult that I'm like, I literally could eat for the rest of this day and I'll still be in a calorie deficit. I freaking love that. When you're like, yeah, I'll have a cookie or...
Yeah, she's the only one. Am I the only one who, when I work out, I can eat more and not gain weight? What? What are you even talking about? Am I the only one? Yeah, Rachel, you're the only one where when you hike, you can eat a little bit more and feel the same state of fullness. She's the only one that ever experienced that before in life.
Entire plate of ham or some more pan con tomate or et cetera, et cetera. I ate my face off.
Wow.
All the Albarino,
She's crazy. She's so crazy. She ate on her trip. Wow, she's crazy. No one else could do it like her.
Yummy food, all the tapas, all the pinchos, all just give it to me. It was delicious.
The pinchos.
We start in San Sebastian. We're like super nerdy, so excited. Head out the first morning.
Define nerdy. Like the fact that you're on this hike, is that the nerdy part? Like you said, like hundreds of thousands of people do this like every year, right? Is it nerdy to do this? I don't think so. I don't think you know what the word nerd means.
Just like, okay, what do we do? And here's something, maybe the most special thing about the Camino.
Tell me.
These roads, and there's more than one. You guys heard me say there's like a bunch of different roads. They're all across the country of Spain. They are maintained by volunteers. They are maintained by local farmers. The people of Spain maintain these roads and have for hundreds of years. And the roads are marked by yellow arrows. I'm going to find I think I'm going to do it when I finish the entire road, but I'm going to get a yellow arrow somewhere tattooed on my body because it was so special. There's all of these yellow arrows.
Again, I think at the end of this, she reveals that she only did like 3 days. Unless I'm wrong. It was so special. I'm going to get an arrow because I saw one. Or you should get a tapas tattooed on you because you seem like that's what matters more. You should get the Cotopaxi logo on you because that's what you seem to care about more.
And they light your way. They guide your path. Whenever you're unsure of what to do, you look for a yellow arrow. You don't need a map because you just walk until you get to the next yellow arrow. They're like every 500 feet or something. They're little, they're big, they're faded, they're brand new, they're spray painted, they're painted on signs, they're carved into the ground. There's just yellow arrow after yellow arrow leading you across the country. I thought it was the coolest freaking thing. And
have you ever heard of a road sign? Have you ever heard of a trail? It was the coolest thing. It was like a guided route where on the way there was markers. Like, have you never been on a trail before? I mean, I'm sure it's cool, but she's explaining it as the concept. It's like, yeah, that's how people navigated before. I'm getting it tattooed on me.
Have so much respect for all of the people who continue to make that road possible, for all of these pilgrims. Because most pilgrims are not bougie bitches like me. Most pilgrims are doing it.
That's a good soundbite. Most pilgrims aren't a bougie bitch like me. So is she the pilgrim or no?
Absolutely on a budget. They're not necessarily coming into these towns and being tourists. They're not spending a lot of money. So the reason...
Wait, let's go back just for a second. She's like, not everyone's rich like me. Other people don't have money to spend in these towns. Okay.
Most pilgrims are not bougie bitches like me. Most pilgrims are doing it absolutely on a budget. They're not necessarily coming into these towns and being tourists. They're not spending a lot of money. So the reason these roads are maintained is because the people understand the sacredness of what it is to challenge yourself in this way, to try and commune with a higher power, to try and grow your faith. I just thought it was...
She's like, but that's not what I did. I was there for the Michelin stars and to show off my bag on the internet. Got it.
Beautiful that everyone sort of works together to make this thing happen. Yeah, we head out that first morning and we found our first yellow arrow, and I got misty-eyed because I had been thinking about this for years, and we just start walking. That's what you do. You freaking walk. I mean, the first day was 16 miles, and I'm in really good shape, but 16 miles, mostly uphill. I mean, you are on flats certainly, but it was no joke. And we didn't really understand that first day. I definitely thought that we were going to walk through villages where we could find lunch, let's say. But you really do, if you want to take this on. An interesting thing about the Camino is I don't feel like there's a ton of information online that is necessarily helpful for today.
thought there was like books and books and books and research and maps about this. And I thought that she ate so much food. Now she's saying she couldn't even find a place to get lunch. Get your story straight, girl. You're live on your podcast. Edit the parts out that don't make sense, please, for all of us. And this makes sense.
So I'm telling you all the things I wish I knew. And a big one was you really do need to plan to have all your food with you in the morning, because otherwise you just might not eat. And we had brought snacks. We had nut butters and like granola bars and protein powder and things like that. We brought that in our backpack. Thank goodness, because we wouldn't eat in the first day. But on that first day, we would pass other pilgrims who were like basically having a little picnic on the side of the road. And we were so jealous because we wanted that food too. The next day, we went to a bakery, and this was like super key because you got to imagine you're in small villages in Spain, and it's not like you can like roll into Whole Foods and grab what you need. You really are working with whatever they have. So we learned to go into a bakery in the morning,
We learned after years of research and our real life experience of the 16-mile walk that there was no Walmarts around. We just didn't know. So we learned after that one day experience that we were going to have to go to a bakery. What are you talking about? Cool. What is the point of this? Again, like, other than talking to your friend about this, like, what is anyone gleaning from this at all, other than like, oh, they're morbidly curious about her life and how weird it is and how like she's going to talk about herself today. Like, other than that, what would anyone care about any of these things? Thank you, Jill. Welcome, Jill.
Beautiful, fresh loaf of bread. We found, oh my God, there's like this sheep's milk cheese that's really famous in that particular area. And we got a huge like wedge of that cheese. And so the second day we had bread and cheese. And the third day we got lucky. We found some hams. We had bread, cheese, and ham. And I do think it's worth saying, I had this like epiphany when I was on the road.
Sure.
Which was more of a question. When is the last time that you did something that was so physically demanding, that was so physically difficult for you to do, that when you were finished and you finally got to sit down and eat something, it was the nectar of the gods. It was the greatest meal you've ever had. It was so incredible because you had pushed your body to its limits. I have eaten in some of the greatest restaurants in the world.
Shut up. God, she's so insufferable. I'm sorry. I have eaten in the best restaurants in the world. I am in great shape. I did not pack. I had people grab my bag. It's like everything's just a humble brag. And like, oh, I pushed my body to the limits and I enjoyed my cheese and ham sandwich. It's like, again, like, what is the point? All of this is just bragging, and that's it. It's bragging and talking about your experience, a luxury experience, it sounds like. Who gives a shit? Not me.
I've been in Paris, New York, LA. I've been in Hong Kong. I've been really blessed to have incredible food. And I will tell you that there is not a meal in my memory that can live up to sitting in the dirt.
Shut up, Rachel. JB, welcome. JB says, sorry I'm late. Missed you, Kia. We missed you too, JB. We missed you as well. And you're almost at that 1 year membership mark. Dang, we are getting close. The holdouts are the first ones to sign up. I think that's when the membership launched, I'm assuming, because I don't think anyone's hit the year yet. So thank you, JB. And for that I say, I'm screaming with excitement. Welcome.
Covered in sweat, physically drained, eating a sandwich made of bread and cheese, and drinking coffee because we filled up a carafe in the morning and we would take it with us so that when we had our bread and cheese, we could sit and eat bread and cheese and have coffee.
That was also something that she denounced at one point was coffee. She's like, I gave up coffee. It was no big deal. You can give up whatever you need to give up too. It's like, okay, that lasted 5 seconds also.
I've never had a better meal in my life. The most beautiful country you can imagine, knowing that you're like there, you're present. I would take off my shoes and put my feet on the ground. Just, when is the last time that you challenge yourself in such a way that you did, maybe it was, gardening. Have you ever done that where you have like a huge gardening day and you're like raking all the leaves and you just really physically push yourself. And then when you get to sit down for a meal, you have a sort of hunger that you haven't had for years. I remember.
I don't find this story, I'm trying to think of like, yeah, I have that experience. I don't. I mean, I guess when you're physically exhausted, food might be more satisfying. Is that what she's trying to say? Like, I've eaten the best restaurants in the world, but I enjoyed food more when I was hungry and I pushed myself to the limits. Like, okay, that's good. Go off, queen. Like, I don't know what the point is. Like, should I just like every day physically push myself to the edge? Like, are construction workers just enjoying their meals more than the rest of us? Like, I don't know. Are landscapers just like every day just more grateful for their meals than everyone else? Like, I don't get it. I'm just missing the point. I think she's really digging deep to try to like connect this boring ass story into like a larger picture. Like, this reminded me to ask this question, like in a sermon, it's like they tell a very personal story and they try to connect it back to the scripture. She's trying to do that with like a life lesson and it's just not landing for me.
Eating this bread and thinking, man, this is the problem with the world today, is we don't have enough earthy moments like this. We don't have enough moments where we're like, this piece of bread is the best freaking thing I've ever had. And I want more moments like that.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with the world today, that we're not starving enough. Humans need to starve more to prove that we're grateful. Good idea, Rachel.
More simplicity, the beauty of simple things. And that really was what this trek was for me in so many ways, was so present. And
yeah, she was so present. She only recorded 15 times and took 500 photos and made 20,000 pieces of content about it as well, and knew that she was going to do a podcast about it and probably did a blog post about it and probably going to put it in her next book. Yeah, for sure. She was definitely present. She wasn't planning all those things to do. Angela Arnold, you are also 1 month away. Woo, 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 woo. And for that I say,
people want their news from flawless, beautiful faces.
Angela says touching grass didn't work. She's beyond help. Yeah. She had to touch the Spanish grass and it still didn't work. So I guess there is no hope. I don't know. I don't know what other physical challenge she's going to put us all through so she can have a sandwich, but I'm looking forward to it, to knowing what the next thing is.
You're not freaking fine.
Rachel, take that note, okay?
Made a conscious decision. You guys aren't going to believe this because you know how much I love music. I live on Spotify, love my AirPods. I always am listening to music. And I made a conscious decision to not, I wasn't on my phone. I never put in AirPods. I never turned on music. I really wanted to be present in all of it. In the good stuff, in the pain, in the hardship. I didn't want any distraction from what I was doing. And
when she climbed the Everest mountain, the last time when she didn't finish, she was listening to Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or something, she said. So this is a new thing. We all know she's the only music nerd.
Oh, okay.
But, she changed it up since the last time, because the first time she was listening to music. So just wanted to point that out, that I remember that. And Alyssa Bell.
Colts.
Alyssa, oh wait, hold on. 2 people. Harper, they, them, 6 months. Woo! There you go. Harper, they, them, 6 months. Woo, you're halfway there. You are halfway there. And I say this
Network marketers fail at everything.
There you go. Network marketers fail at everything from the mouth of one of the top ones. That was just a little fact for you. And Alyssa Bell won. Thank you so much. Member for 5 months. Dang, getting close there. Choosing sadness since March 2023. Woo, woo, woo. Welcome. That's so awesome. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been a year. And for like the OGs, the first ones, it's going to be a year since this has been around, since we've had the emotes. We need to get back on the emote game. I need to get better at that and like shake it up, get some new ones. Maybe we can have a ham sandwich emote. What do we think about that? What do we think?
I had this awakening in my kitchen.
Let me know, everybody. Let me know. And also,
I don't do murder. That is not a thing I do.
Just in case anyone was wondering that about me, I don't do murders. Okay, back to it.
Very much rooted in the walk. We were meant to walk for 6 days, and we walked for 3. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay, so now we finally got to the climax of this story. So all this just to lead up to, they did 3 days of a walk. And they didn't eat that much on the first day. They ate their snacks. But on the second day they learned on the second day they have to go to a bakery. And on the third day, they were present and ate a sandwich. And then they quit. Wow. Life-changing.
Okay.
Rainy Cannon. I want to brag about my time too. 11 months for Rainy Cannon. Woo, woo, woo. And for that I say,
Oh, okay.
If I were to die, it would probably be choking on broccoli.
true or not true, Rainy Cannon? Thank you. Kim Possible 11. Thank you, Kim Possible 11.
Colt.
Kim Possible 11 says, please tell me we are listening to episode 466, Ask Rach. She talks about Dave. Ooh, maybe so. Is it a short one or is it a long one? I can probably stand to listen to another one. This is almost over. We're like 15 minutes left of this one, and I'll shut up after a while. I'll let it roll without giving so much commentary soon. So yeah, I think we do that, Kim. We can do that. And Albanese, thank you so much. Also a member for 11 months. Wow, you are an OG as well. Albanese says, Rachel's deep meaning on this pilgrimage equals ham sandy. Yeah. She's like, you know what the secret to life is? Girl, sit on the side of a road and eat a sandwich. Is that not a Pam thing to do? You know, I don't know. I don't know what her brand is anymore. I don't think she knows, like we said, because the lessons here are getting murkier and murkier in this fisherman town of Barcelona. I don't know. Anyways, here we go.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't get sick.
Oh, no, it's okay. She doesn't get sick, so at least we don't have to worry about that. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I really, really, really appreciate it. And thank you for being here for this moment once again, back again, listening to Rachel Hollis podcast. It's nostalgic for me. Okay, I'll shut up. I promise.
On day 2, I started to feel, I thought my feet were getting blisters. I mean, they were, but it wasn't what I thought. I thought that my feet were maybe rubbing funny in the socks. And so I thought they were getting blisters. And so I'm a marathon runner. I've done it a million times. I had anti-chafe, and I took my socks off and put anti-chafe stick on the spots on my feet where I felt like I was getting chafing. Put my socks back on, put my shoes back on, keep going. I did this at lunch on day 2. And I could feel it getting worse. By the night of day 2, we get to the hotel finally, take my shoes off, and we happen to be in a city called Deba. And Deba is right on the beach. And our pensiones was like right around the corner from the beach. So we got in a little early.
We just so happened to follow these random arrows that were around. I don't know what they were, but they were very meaningful to me. And it just so happened that they were where our hotel was. So bizarre. I don't know.
I think that day it was only a 12-mile walk. So we got in a little bit earlier, like 4 or 5 o'clock. Dropped our stuff at the hotel and went down to the beach. And I went down and put my feet in the water because the water was really cold and I was just trying to like calm them down. I knew something was wrong with my feet, but I didn't really know what. ironically, I went on this trek and I didn't have flip-flops, which was a key component that I should have had because it would have helped. It would have helped me to have some different shoes than I had, but I didn't know better. Next time I'll know better. So we go to a store, we buy a cheap pair of flip-flops, and I go to the beach, put my feet in the water, and then we're walking to try and go find dinner, which, by the way, just as a side note, that is marked. If bread and cheese on the side of the road is one of the best meals I've ever had, dinner in Deba is easily one of the worst. A very interesting thing about Spain, if you decide to do this, 2 things. If you've never been to Spain, restaurants in Spain don't open for dinner until 8. They eat very late there. Doesn't matter, family, kids, doesn't matter. They eat very late. 8 o'clock is early. 8 o'clock is like senior citizens, early birds, and your girl. Okay, that's who's there at 8 p.m. But imagine that you just walk for 16 hours and the only thing you've had is bread. You're starving. You get to your hotel at like 6 and you really want some food. You're going to wait till 8.
Oh my God, you guys, can you believe she put up with this? I wanted to eat at 7, but they didn't open till 8. The whole country's culture was frustrating to me. It was the worst experience I've ever suffered through that I decided was also my dream and goal. And I also had the best food ever. But now I'm going to say that I didn't because I must contradict myself at every turn. Because this is the Rachel Hollis podcast and that's what my fans expect, which is true.
Colts.
Mandy, thank you. Mandy Warzen. Warzen? Is the W silent? Let me know. Raisin Rarzen. Let me know. Mandy says, Rach Day, please play There's a Wig in My Panties. Well, of course. Your wish is my command.
You have a wig in your panties.
And because you asked so nicely and politely, I will also give you a bonus one. 2 bonuses.
My pubic hair.
And finally,
I don't shave my chochi.
Thank you, Mandy. I appreciate that so much. Okay, so now she's having the worst meal, which I'm assuming was because it was early or she didn't eat at all. I don't know. I don't care. All I know is she deserves justice. She only had bread and cheese, which was her favorite meal of all time, and she was very present when she was eating it, but it's not enough. She needs dinner and flip-flops. Okay.
Unless you're in Deba and it's a Monday, in which case you're not going to have jack. There are no restaurants open. They will serve you beer forever. You can get alcohol all day, and you can get pinchos, which are a very specific kind of tapa. But in this particular town, which was smaller, there wasn't anything substantive. So there was one bar that we found, and they only served fried foods. They only, and I don't even, I love fried food. I'm not talking about fried chicken. I'm not talking about a taquito. I'm talking about small, I would call them croquettes, which would be delicious, except these weren't. These were 100% from the freezer section of a local grocery store. We were starving. We ordered all of these croquettes. It was horrible. I love the Spanish people, but this particular meal was so bad, and there was nowhere else. Everything was closed. And I just tell you that story to say, plan ahead for where you're going to eat, because you actually really do need that nightly meal. You really do, because the amount of calories you're going to burn during the day, you really need to take in some good nutrition at night. And we didn't have that option. In retrospect, I actually wish that I would have just made a protein smoothie and had some nuts. It wouldn't have been satiating, but it would have been much better, because I do think day 3 walk was much harder because I just was in such a calorie deficit. Anyway.
This is all, I guess, to lead up to why she left early, because it needs to be inspirational, because she put this on her calendar as content will be, filled by my life-changing trip in advance. So she has to build it up to something like, okay, I only did it 3 days. How am I going to spin this so it seems like, really valuable to my audience? It's like, guys, the lesson is plan ahead. It's like, okay, but you just said that you did plan ahead and did all the research and were so invested in the process. And then you didn't even know that if it was a fishing town on the water or where you were. And you also didn't know if they had restaurants or if they were going to be walking through villages. But also you have this company that apparently has booked everything for you. So what is this? None of this advice is coherent.
We go find this restaurant. We're having a beer. I can tell my feet, they're starting to swell. They're red.
Exactly.
But I got my flip-flops now. And I'm thinking, this is just I've been walking all day. It's very hot. It just is what it is. But Boo was like, oh, they don't look good. Let me see. And he found a pharmacy. He was like, I'm going to get you some cortisone cream to put on your feet. The next day, my feet are still pretty jacked, but whatever. I put my socks and shoes on and off we head. And this day was the most physically grueling. It was very difficult. It was very, very steep.
So this is 72 hours into this experience where they, again, are sleeping in hotels and having restaurant meals, presumably. It's like, she sounds like she's, I don't know, like on a fast or something, or like, she was in like a tropical disaster, or like a typhoon had come through and she was surviving the way she's talking, like not on a vacation in Spain. Like, the story is so dramatic.
Very hot. Holy crap. And we're going. Lunchtime, stop. And I could tell my feet were in a lot of trouble. And I took my shoes off and my socks off to just like let my feet rest during lunch. And they looked horrible. Like they were completely red. They were swelling. I had pretty bad edema. And I was starting to get visible blisters. And
Okay, let me pull up the picture of her feet again. But like, I think it looked she's making it sound like, oh, this is not your average blister. This is worse, and no one has ever experienced this. Am I the only one who suffers from blisters, you guys? Because this was really bad, and it justifies the reason why I stopped. It's like, okay, relax. I don't know. I think she just really wants to justify why she bailed so that she go to Ibiza, which is where she really wanted to go, but figured like Ibiza is not going to be as inspirational, I suppose. Okay, where was the one with her feet? Was it? No, it wasn't that far back. Okay, this is where she did the photos, and then there was another one after this one. No, where is it? This one? Yes. Okay, and then again, the way that if you were just to go on her Instagram and look at what she's posted, it's like, oh, wow, this was a life-changing experience. Sharing, this is what it says. Typically, it's a 40-day, 800-mile excursion, but we only had a week and set out to take on 100 miles. Okay, but you only did 3 days and complained the entire time. Sharing the planning and prep. Apparently you did none, according to your own account of this story. Sharing the planning and prep, the route, not really, the heat, the incredible food. Okay, you just said you had the worst meal of your entire life. The little hotels. I've heard nothing about the hotels thus far. The unbelievable and unexpected hives and edema that forced me to stop early. Okay, at least she did say the truth there. But we're going to look at that again. We're going to judge her feet for a second. For those of you who dream of doing physical endurance challenges or are looking for a new one, today's episode is for you. Okay, I still want to do this, but she has made every effort to make me not want to do this. Just for the record. Like, if you had interest in this, listening to this podcast would make you absolutely not want to go and do this experience. Okay. These people are walking by like, these losers. They're rich people. Okay. Here's her feet. Now, she said she put that stuff on, the chafing stuff that you usually put in between your like thighs, on her feet. So I think that's why it's all glistening. But like, I mean, yeah, she's got some rash, but like, unbelievable hives, and it's like, I don't know, is it that bad? Like, I think if you're walking all day, you probably would have like some of this stuff on your feet, and especially if you didn't break in your shoes. I mean, I guess that sounds pretty average. And probably, I'm assuming if you did research, they probably would tell you these things like, hey, make sure you break in your hiking boots. I mean, anyone that goes hiking knows you got to break in your boots before you go on a huge trip. And also, great point, JB. JB says, guess Rach didn't declare I don't get blisters. Yeah. For someone who controls their body and is in control of their entire universe, where she's like, oh, no, it's okay. I don't get sick because I tell myself I don't get sick. Why didn't you tell yourself not to get blisters? How can it be unexpected at this point? Like, I don't get it. I thought you were the ruler of your universe.
I am not a medical authority, but
everyone, just for the record,
you are not required to get the flu this year.
You are also not required to get blisters when you're walking the Camino. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to listen to it, but I'm going to keep the foot picture up while she talks about her feet here.
I mean blisters like from rubbing. I mean like blood blisters all over my feet. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But remember, Boo had got me cortisone cream.
Boo.
So dumbass. I mean, I didn't know better, whatever. Like, you just do what you can. I think I'm having some kind of allergic reaction. I'm having whatever. So I take the cortisone cream and I put it all over the parts of my feet that are having this reaction, which was a lot. Then I put my socks and shoes back on, and I still have to walk 9 more miles.
Ugh.
And that's what did it. About 2 miles after lunch, my feet were, I mean, it was excruciating. And I knew that something was really wrong. But you're in the middle of nowhere. What am I going to do? Make my boyfriend put me on his back and carry me? Like, I was just like, there's nothing to do.
She should have looked up How to Heal Your Life. Ask Louise Hay what blistered feet means. I should look it up. I should get the book. Call out. Please, Steven, come get the book for me. Because it's got to mean something, right? Like, she had a tickle in her throat. She meant that she wasn't standing in her power and she wasn't speaking up enough, and her ear hurt, and that means her partner is an asshole. What does blisters on the feet mean? I thought, what happened to that? We're no longer like looking into these things. It's just nothing now. It's not related to anything.
And as a side note, this is also why I love an endurance challenge and why I think everybody should do one.
You don't love endurance challenges. You quit.
Do you know the message that just kept coming up to me? Whether this was like from my inner wisdom or a spirit guide or God or I don't know, but the message that just kept coming up is like, it is.
Huh?
This is what it is. So often in my life, I have tried to mentally battle my way or mentally unpack or mentally spiral out to obsess over how something should be different or why something's wrong or why this is unfair or why is this happening to me. And in this instance, I just was like, it is. It is what it is. This moment is what it is. And
so she learned that she needs to accept reality. That's the big lesson. Okay, everyone else, for the most part, has gotten there already, Rachel. We have far surpassed you, and that we recognize when things are the way they are, sometimes that is the way they are. She's like, I just learned this at 40 years old, that sometimes things happen. You can't choose joy at all moments. You can't choose no blisters. Oh, wow. Big lesson there, girly. You should write a book about it.
It's the most calm I've ever been in a situation, maybe in any situation, where I just accepted what was. So
she also, once again, accepted last time during the Everest challenge that her ankle hurt her, which again has gone away. Problem solved. She stopped doing the hike. It was solved without any intervention, but then she woke up the next day feeling amazing and her ankle was fine, but she decided, oh, it's okay, I'm just gonna like hang out because I'm not the type that wants to finish the hike and not do it or something. I don't know. I don't get these lessons. They're so stupid. But she already figured that out last time. And then again, that Instagram that I showed at the beginning of the hour, like her saying like, I can run in the hot heat. I can do it. It's uncomfortable, but I'm not going to let that like, thought in my head stop me. Okay, but this day, 3 weeks prior, I learned that it is what it is. And sometimes you just have to respect yourself. It's like, which one is it? I don't get it.
A couple miles after lunch that day, I'm in excruciating pain, and every step felt like I'm walking on 1,000 needles. And every step to the...
I just really wonder what I wish we had insight from him, like what the boo thing thinks, because she's like, oh, I'm such an outdoorsy adventure seeker, endurance junkie. I just love running marathons and doing all this crazy outdoor stuff. But then every time they do something together, she bails. And it's like major injuries. It's like, so why do you put yourself through this if like you just want to go for the Michelin star? Like just be yourself. You're lying to him about who you are is what it seems like.
That like, what are you gonna do? It is what it is. So I just kept going, and I wasn't even complaining. I mean, my boyfriend knew I was in pain. He knew and I was just like, it was very much like when I was in labor. When I was in labor with my kids, I would like go so inside myself. I don't know if any of you did this, but I would just go so inside myself of like, it was just like me and that baby and God. That's all that my labor was. My children's father was there. My mom was there.
My children's father was there. God, I really hate how she does that. You had a whole company with this guy. You had a podcast with this guy. His name is Dave. Come on. The father of my children. As if he doesn't exist. He never existed. He was a figment of our imagination, and she's always been secretly, anciently, spiritually involved with Kez. She just didn't know about it. Her spirit guides didn't guide her correctly in the beginning. It's like, how disrespectful to Dave and his memory. The father of my children, or whatever she said. It's like, what a way to, I don't know. And also, what are you talking about? Who is it supposed to be for? Your audience? Your Facebook followers are supposed to be involved in your birth? I don't get it.
There were nurses, but like they were not even in my world. It was just me and the baby and God. And on that walk, it was me and God. That was it. And I didn't talk and I didn't spiral and I didn't think. I just was like, this is what it is. And you've got, 6 more miles to go. There's nothing to do but take another step. So just keep walking. And at some point along that trek, my feet started to go numb, but not in a good way. I mean, not in a like, okay, great, now it won't stop hurting. Like, oh, we're in a lot of trouble here. I knew they were super swollen. I knew it was a problem. We get into the city we're going to. And one thing that was very difficult was like, you would have it in your head, okay, it's 16 miles to the next city. But then you'd get to that city and your hotel might be another mile from where you were, which is the worst mind screw you can possibly imagine, that you're like, okay, now I have to walk another mile. So we walk another mile.
The drama.
I was really struggling. I was getting really frustrated. And we finally get to this actually gorgeous. It was my favorite place we stayed. This really beautiful country house. Like a husband and wife own this house that's just like a hotel for pilgrims. And I get there.
The fact that she's calling herself a pilgrim after, again, walking for 3 days and then complaining about it the whole time, it's just so funny to me. Like pilgrims like me. It's like, you barely scratched the surface of this. Okay, I'm searching Louise Hay feet blisters because I need to know. And I realized that I could just search it on Google. Okay, according to Louise Hay, the cause of blisters is resistance and lack of emotional protection. Okay. And if you have issues in your feet, It represents our understanding of ourselves, of life, of others. Foot problems are fear of the future and not stepping forward in life. So, Rachel, there you go. That's the cure, baby. Solve those emotional issues and you will no longer have blisters, okay?
I go up to our room and I take my socks and shoes off. And it's real bad.
Oh,
it's
no way.
It's real bad. I've never seen anything like this. My feet were twice the size that they normally are. My ankles were twice the size they normally are. They were covered, and I mean covered in blisters, but not blisters from like rubbing. Like, I don't know if I had an allergic reaction. I don't know. I wonder if it was a heat rash. Like if I put this cream on and then the heat of the sock and the shoe and the intensity of walking. The bottom line is whatever happened to my feet, I did it to myself. And believe me, that I spent days after trying to figure out, like, did I? You know, because sometimes things manifest physically in your body because of an emotion. And I'm like, wow,
That's what I just said. She's not moving forward in life, according to Louise Hay's stupid theories. Okay, not to like downplay her pain or whatever, but like this angle, this just looks like they're shiny from putting the cream on. This doesn't look that bad to me. I think she's being super, super, super dramatic. Like, yeah, it's sure it was painful, but like, again, I think many people probably go through discomfort like this when they're first starting something like this, and they just continue. I think she's trying to make it seem like this is the worst that anyone has ever felt on this trail. Therefore, I feel justified once again to leave.
Walking, and then I have this problem with my feet. Like, what does this symbolize? What does this mean? I was like doing all of this like deep dive and like, oh my gosh, did I make this happen? Or am I worried about the path I'm walking? And this is a representation. And I've unpacked this from every angle. And what I can tell you is I'm just an idiot who shouldn't have put cream on my feet. I'm just an idiot who shouldn't have put cream on my feet when I couldn't read what the tube said because it was in another language.
So are we denouncing all that stupid bullshit or what? Is it only when it's convenient for the messaging and you can be the hero, does that apply? Does Louise Hay, I can heal your life methods, amazing, life-changing? But if it doesn't really fit in, then it's just she's an idiot and then that's okay. Isn't it a universal law or no? Again, like stick to one side of this debate.
That's it. Just crappy luck, just a bad choice. But I knew as soon as I took my socks and shoes off, I was like, there's literally no way that I can keep going because I can't actually put shoes back on. So I took them off and like I showed Boo and like we both were just immediately bummed because we're very similarly aligned in that
they're dressed the same and look the same from pictures in the back. Okay, sorry.
Wanted to do this. I know not everybody wants to go on a 100-mile trek, but we did. We were really excited about it. And there isn't a lot of time away from the kids, so this was my shot. And it was a big bummer to know we were already doing this thing in chunks, and now we had to cut that chunk in half. So I was like, I'm so sorry. There's no way that I can do it. And he's like,
that's what I think Albanese, I agree. Albanese says, I don't know, something tells me she self-sabotaged on purpose so she could pretend for Boo, then get her bougie trip that she's always wanted. I think so too. I think she wanted to go to Ibiza to party and like drink, whatever, Aperol spritzes and relax, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But Boo Thing is more of an outdoorsy guy. By her own admission, she's talked about that many times, that he likes like extreme sports and likes jumping in the river and he likes going skiing and he likes to do all these like activities, which I think she absolutely hates, but she is, refusing to admit that this is not a good match for her, and for many reasons, probably because he's also, he was a single guy, no kids, from what I understand. Seems like the cosmic bond is a little bit, I don't know, maybe not perfect. Of course, people can change, or maybe he didn't have kids for a reason, but it just also seems like this is like kind of like a lifelong bachelor type of guy who likes to travel and do all this like extreme stuff. And she's a mom of 4, now a single mom of 4 for real, actually, who likes to go and lounge around and do vacations and take first class trips. Like, that's just 2 different people, but she's like trying to trick him maybe, or to try to make it seem like, oh yeah, I want to do this too. And then self-sabotage so that it falls through, but it's not her fault. And it's not because she doesn't want to do this. It's because, oh, I have an injury that was, actually because you gave me the wrong cream in Spanish. So it's not my fault either. It's a very interesting theory, and I tend to agree with that.
Oh no, babe, I totally understand. But now we're in the middle of the country, in the middle of Spain, and what the heck are we going to do? Because now we have 10 days, maybe a little bit less. But we had this whole chunk of time. Now, we were meant to go to Ibiza, but we were meant to go to Ibiza for, 4 days. And in case you're wondering, going to Ibiza for 4 days is already too much. It's too much. If you've been, it's beautiful people, lots of parties. I'm not a partier. I'm not going to a club. I'm not going to bar. I'm not going out, right? I just want to lay by a pool and have some wine. That's what I wanted to do. And I really, really only need that for like 2 days. And now I'm looking at a ton of extra time. Luckily,
once again, how will our hero overcome this tragic story? I don't want to sit by a pool for 4 days. I only want to go for 2 days. How am I going to make it?
Gonna be stranded in the middle of the country in Spain, and you need to make some last minute travel arrangements. The person you want to be in a relationship with is one of the world's biggest tour managers. Literally. That's what my boyfriend is.
Oh my God.
All he's done.
Oh my God. When you wanted to go to the Oscars, I think the guy you wanted to be with was a Disney executive, and that worked out for you. And now when you're stuck in Spain, you just want to be dating the world's biggest tour manager. Oh, again, she's so lucky.
20 years is to get hundreds of people all around the world on a tour. So I was like, well, you go ahead and fix this. And I'm going to put these cloven hooves up on the wall and hope that the swelling goes down. So we did go to Ibiza. We got a lot more relaxation time in than we thought we were going to get. And we are definitely going to go back and finish the Camino. We still plan to do it in stages. The kids will be back at camp next summer. So that's when we're planning to try and take on some more time. But I wanted to tell you guys this story because I
have literally nothing else to talk about. I have gone through all of my stories that anyone found interesting, and I have scraped the bottom of the barrel, and now I am just randomly throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, because this was nonsense. So that's why I want to tell you this story. Okay, so Kez is Shawn Mendes's tour manager. But if you remember correctly, Shawn Mendes canceled his tour. So I think that's why Kez has been so available to be around Rachel because he's been following her on her tour. And so they were stranded in Spain, and then somehow she's not going to share that part of the story. That's actually semi-interesting, like how his connections as a tour manager got them to Ibiza faster or better, or what? I don't even understand what she was saying. She just wanted to, again, brag that her boyfriend is well connected in Europe because he's from Europe, you guys. Okay, I don't know. Once again, just become something else, or just retire, please. I don't get why this content is being made.
I don't know. I hope it inspires you to try something or to do something. Or maybe all it inspires you to do is go travel. Maybe you're like, you know what, Rach, I'm not ready to go do a physical endurance challenge, but I have always wanted to go to Spain, and this conversation has motivated me to look into that. Not Deba, but other places are fantastic. I think that if you've never seen an example of someone traveling, an example of someone running.
Does she really think she's the first and only example that women who listen to this podcast have of traveling? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this podcast is going to inspire some poor soul out there to go on a trip. Who in the world would this inspire to go on a trip? This is going to inspire people not to go to Spain, specifically because they feel like they're going to be stranded out in the middle of nowhere and have no food. That's what you made it sound like. And they're going to get blisters, and they're going to put medication on their leg, and they're going to like need it amputated. That's what this story has made me feel. This is not inspiring anyone who's not psychologically insane to go anywhere and do anything. But thank you for sharing.
Race, an example of someone starting a business or going back to school in their 50s. Like, if we don't see an example of it, we might not know that it's possible. And so I hope that one of the things you get out of our relationship is maybe just see me trying things, and it encourages you to consider trying things. So
that is a reach and a stretch. She is like she is like a Cirque du Soleil stretching I don't know, coach right now with how this is related to literally anything else other than the story itself.
This is my latest excursion, and I hope you got something out of our conversation today.
I did not.
I will be back soon with more things to chat about, and also maybe more adventures to be had. And until then, remember, I love you, and I'm rooting for you.
You don't know me. When I said our relationship, I didn't know if she meant our relationship, like Kez and hers relationship, like you guys can learn from us, if that was a Freudian slip, or our relationship as in Rachel's to the listeners relationship, which is, you know, parasocial at the very least. I don't know what she meant. It was kind of interesting, that line. I also caught that, like, what are you talking about? Our relationship. Interesting. Okay. Yikes. Okay, well, I'm glad that I gave that a little listen, but I also feel like she's gone off the deep end, like to the point of no return. And I got one of her emails the other day, and it was the same story where she said she manifested first class tickets, you know, one of her biggest dreams in life. And the story is, I manifested it because when I was going to speak at Monate and going to speak at Arbonne conferences back in 2018, 2017, or 2019, I guess, too, I told them that part of my contract was going to include first class flying. So I manifested it. You can manifest things too. It's like, okay, first of all, I've heard that story 17 plus times from her in different, you know, forms, podcasts, talks, blogs, whatever. Now it's in her email. She really does not have anything new. And I don't know if she's going to get anything new, because if this is the new stuff, it is lacking in any sort of meat, any sort of like relevance whatsoever. And it's going to get harder and harder for her, because she needs to rebuild her audience to get back to where it was. Ain't going to happen. Or start over. And this is an audience for no one. Again, I don't get who she's even talking to. And Mary D, thank you, Mary D. Mary D says, thanks, Kia. I've missed snarking on Hollisville. Can we get theirs, Colleen? Yes, we can. Heidi, we've missed you. Okay, where's Colleen?
There's Colleen.
There's Colleen. And I'll give you a bonus.
Shout out to Helen.
Shout out to Helen. If there's any Helens in there, or if there's Colleens. Heidi, what else?
They're going to be dropping some really powerful, amazing, life-changing shiz.
That's what you can expect while watching this channel, always. Okay, so now let's listen to the request by Kim Possible. Let's listen to the request 466. And do you know by chance if that one is on her YouTube? Because I feel like it might be. Regaining your power, self-care practices for empowerment. Okay, let me check on YouTube to see if she has this one. Because if so, I would prefer to watch it on her YouTube channel. I could see our queen in the flesh. Okay. How to care for others? No. Build a mindset of financial abundance? No. Okay, I'm looking at her YouTube. By the way, her YouTube, she's gone up. She used to have 170 something thousand subs. Now she's got 182. So she's gone up, but her engagement is still pretty low. Her conversion, for example, like, okay, here it's like 5,000 a month ago. She last posted a month ago. 68,000. Miranda Kerr, who she's a wellness nut, a wellness woo woo. My routine is full of garbage. Person, just FYI, she's a big medical medium fan, so I'm not a fan of hers. She talks a lot about her hormones and balancing, which is why I think Rachel's next book is going to be the health book, even though, again, she is not an authority on anything health, especially women's health. She's, talking about a lot of pseudoscience garbage once again, but she's heavily talking about it. So that's why I think she's trying to make it relevant to her messaging so she can have the book that has already been written. Build a mindset of financial abundance and teach your kids about finances. That's sort of weird. I balance my hormones. Okay, sure. Beat your imposter syndrome. Take care of yourself first. Okay, I'm sure she does the oxygen mask. Whatever the metaphor, because that's what they always do. Beat imposter syndrome. Make parenting joyful. Yeah, leave your kids at camp for 2 weeks, then go to Spain. Stop taking bad advice. Okay, if I would do that, I would never listen to you again. Set your boundaries. Okay, so no. So it's not there. All right, we'll listen to it on podcast, as our girl Rach would say, on podcast. Okay, we'll see if there's anything after the first 15, 20 minutes, but Kim says that it's just, she's going to talk about Dave in the first 15 to 20, which I find to be interesting because she rarely talks about the father of her children anymore. But she does still, I don't know. It's weird. She's got a weird relationship with talking about her boo thing and talking about Dave, and she just doesn't navigate it correctly, in my opinion. But whatever. Who cares what I think? You guys do. Okay, let's skip ahead. Hold on. Actually.
Tú harías cualquier cosa por mantener tu vehículo en buen
Sponsored by Spain.
estado. Asegúrate que continúe funcionando.
What? Why does she have Spanish ads?
Artificial intelligence and data never been
unfaithful and
okay. That was weird.
Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible.
Okay.
Mayo Clinic. You know where to go.
Okay. Let's go.
And if you're listening to this right now and you have a partner that was unfaithful and like this is a deal breaker, I can't move forward. I'm sure plenty of you, I know people who have gone through infidelity and they did the work and they came out the other side stronger. That's beautiful. But for some people, that is a deal breaker. That is it. They can't go forward. If you're one of those people, I am telling you, this is not the day when you were broken. This is the day that you were made. This has the potential.
So she's going to give us, okay, I'm going to skip ahead because she's going to repeat that part again. That's just like a teaser. But her friend has gone through infidelity, so therefore she's qualified to give advice to random strangers. Okay, got it. That is the qualifications that are needed to help someone through infidelity in their marriage. She knows a friend that's gone through it.
It doesn't.
Okay, skipping ahead.
To find intermittent fasting. This is the Rachel Hollis podcast. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of the show and another episode in my Ask Rach series.
She's got the baby voice on again. I guess that's the Ask Rach brand, is the baby voice.
So this is a series where people call into a hotline. God. They call into this podcast hotline and they leave me a voice memo and they call into the podcast hotline and they ask me a question. And these range I mean, they're all over the place. The people who ask them are all over the place in the world. And the questions come from every angle. There's questions about being a mom, going through divorce. How do you make an epic comeback? Like, I'm just looking at the spreadsheet. Mindset, should I have another baby? Like, there's every kind of question here. And I choose questions that I think will be most helpful to the whole audience and that I think I have some perspective on. Because certainly I get questions in here and I'm like, oh, dang, that is a great question, but I am not the friend to give you that advice because I actually don't know anything about it. Today I'm going to go through the spreadsheet.
When has she ever done that? I would guess 0 times has she said, I'm not qualified. I can't give you that answer. She would come up with anything. I'm not a medical authority, but you are not required to get the flu this year. Okay.
You and I are going to listen to these questions for the first time together. So my answer is in real time. It's not prepped in any way. You can just hear my initial thoughts.
Amazing.
And as always, if you have a question for me, please.
Girl, we know you don't prep. We know that by now. We don't prep for anything. We get it. We don't have to warn us.
Let me know what you're thinking or what you got. The number is 737-400-4626. 737-400-4626. So this first question here looks really interesting, and I think we should start with this. Okay, let's hear what she has to say.
Hey, Rach. I have been a longtime listener, first-time caller. You might be able to relate and give some insight onto how do you retain the progressive mindset that you've built when it seems that everything you thought was true has been either a lie or taken from you. I have been with my husband for 15 years. We will have been married for 10 this summer, and we are also both self-employed. And the beginning of this year, he informed me that he has been unfaithful through our relationship and that he is now unhappy and wants a divorce. And it was completely unexpected for me.
So, okay, so I'm going to let it play, but was the setup there to say, like, I don't answer questions I don't have experience with. I only answer questions that I feel like I have knowledge about. Is she trying to insinuate that Dave was unfaithful to her? Is that the vibe we're giving? But she doesn't have to like actually speak on it. She can just hint, hint, hint. I don't think he was unfaithful just based on the way everything went down. But I could be wrong. But maybe she's trying to change the narrative now to make people doubt that. I don't know. I'm a little confused as to why she'd be answering this question.
And the only thing that I can say is I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe at this point, trying to navigate what steps to take next. Even as a hashtag STJ hustler, I've accomplished some goals in the past few years, but now I'm just looking at things and thinking, was that all real? And I'm having a hard time holding on to that mindset that I worked so hard to build for myself. I appreciate any input. Love your show.
I don't get the question.
Thanks so much. Bye.
I don't get this lady's question. And I also think that she speaks, exactly like Rachel. So either A, this was written by Rachel and sent to someone to read it, or B, this person is such a devoted follower to Rachel, she has made her entire personality Rachel's personality. I'm not sure which one is true.
Oh, wow. Becky, I was like nodding along with you as you were talking and really appreciate the question and really appreciate the place that you find yourself right now. And I have a lot of thoughts for you. So here they are in no particular order. I remember and I've actually talked about this on the show before, but I remember sitting with a therapist after I was getting divorced, and I was explaining to this therapist the truth about why I chose to leave my marriage.
My marriage? Okay, what is the truth? You've never shared that here, I don't think.
It's a truth that nobody knew, and I think publicly people probably have a little bit of a better idea now that things have come to light. But at the time, I felt like this was this massive burden that I was carrying and this massive truth. And I was carrying it on behalf of my children because I didn't want them to know hard truths about their dad. And
I'm going to call bullshit on this. I think she knew, well, first of all, Dave wrote about his alcohol use in his first book pretty extensively. So there was no secrets there. I mean, obviously, if she read the book, she would know that he was a self-proclaimed alcoholic. I mean, she's claimed to be an alcoholic as well. So maybe she takes that very lightly, obviously, because she loves alcohol now. But I highly, highly doubt that was the reason why they divorced in the first place. I think Rachel thought, she read Untamed by Glennon Doyle and thought, oh, this is the way that I can get out on my own. Finally, I won't be accused of being Dave's, wife anymore and taking his money and whatever. I need to be my own girl boss, and this is the best way to do it, is to get rid of him. I don't think she was, and he has obviously had addiction problems that I'm sure she was aware of, but I don't think the actual reason was, oh, he's, displaying that again. I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no idea. But the way that they announced the divorce, the way that he said it went down, the way that she said it went down, it was like she had enough and she just decided, like, I'm over this. And it blindsided him. That's what I remember. And I don't think that his addiction was blindsiding to her. I think it had been going on for a long time. At least the alcohol. I don't know about the other stuff, the drugs, or at least cocaine, that came up on the autopsy. But yeah, I think this is the perfect way for her to try to get back into the hearts of her fans or former fans, like, oh, that was why. I just think it's too convenient to be like, oh, okay, because you let your kids stay with him for weeks at a time, a week on and off for the years that you guys were divorced. So if that's true, why would you allow that to go on? There's a lot of questions. I just feel like, yeah, I think you're changing the narrative now because he can't speak up for himself.
I remember this therapist was like, what does it say about you that you didn't know he was an alcoholic for all of those years?
Okay, whoa. What do you mean? He didn't know he was an alcoholic, Rachel? Come on. She's an alcoholic. She said, oh, I'm struggling with alcohol on the Oprah Winfrey stage. So you're going to tell me that you didn't know that your husband was, even though he wrote it in his book? Come on. That's ridiculous. That is not true whatsoever. I don't know who she thinks she's fucking fooling here.
And I really have grappled with that a lot. And I really felt a lot of shame. I felt like in that moment, I felt like I was being shamed for not knowing, or for like maybe thinking like, oh, she willfully ignored this. And
no, you accepted it.
What I actually understand now, post all of this stuff, and also then finding out that this went so much deeper than just alcohol. And frankly, that I don't know how long this had been happening.
Again, like, she made a big proclamation when he died. His life is not content. I will not be talking about him. How dare you even ask me to give a comment about his life and what has happened? I have nothing to say. This is like the father of my children. And, she was actually saying his name at that point for like a short blip of time because he had just died. And now she's back to, this man I spent time with for 20 years. Like, she won't even like talk about who he is, even though she still uses his last name, which I find to be interesting. But yeah, I'm not buying this at all. I'm sorry. I am not buying this whatsoever. And saying like, oh, we went so much deeper. Wasn't she the one that said he had a double life, like early on too? So what was that? That she didn't know he had a double life, or she did know? Like, I don't know. None of this makes a lot of sense.
If you don't know that something's happening, how do you know when it started? And one of the learnings that I have had in this process is that if someone is good at lying, which in this case, an alcoholic or an addict or, you know, whatever the situation is on your side, people know how to lie. And it's not just a lie. When someone is literally living a different life than they show to the world, it's way deeper. It's way more layered. It's way more nuanced. And I now understand in a way that I didn't how hard people will fight to uphold a lie. And I think if I could...
I think, if anything, this is my take now, is that they both were in cahoots together to lie and manipulate their audience, their customers, into believing that they had a great, wonderful, deep, exceptional marriage, and they in fact did not. I can see that, but I don't think that Dave had some sort of secretive addiction, especially when he's talking about being an alcoholic in his books and in podcasts and he's coaching for many years before, well, it's not many years, but at least a year before they announced the divorce, at least like 2 years. So yeah, I don't know. I remember one of the chapters in his book, he specifically said he drank a handle of vodka. So that's a printed page in his book. Like, who are you fooling again? Like that wasn't known until after the divorce was over. Like, no way.
You something in this. It's the awareness that it is very difficult for us to see something we are not. For good or bad, I'm not a liar.
Okay, Rachel. And also, you said you are an alcoholic. So is that not true? Or what? Or you've recovered because you decided that you are over it and it doesn't sell, books as much as you thought. So it's no longer cool to say. I got to go back for a second just to hear that part. Sorry.
If I could give you something in this, it's the awareness that it is very difficult for us to see something we are not. For good or bad,
she is a liar. I'm sorry. If she's not a liar, she is so delusional in her belief that she is always right that she will twist every single thing that she's ever said to be the opposite, or to be what's cool, or to be what's trendy, or she'll change her personality and morph it to be whatever is needed for the majority of people to like her or be impressed by her. If that is what's going on, that's one thing. But if it's not that, then she is totally a liar. It's either a personality disorder or she is a liar as well. And that's why they did make it for so long.
I'm not a liar.
Okay.
I mean, y'all have seen some very public screw ups on my part. That's because it's all out there. I don't cover anything up. Like, what you know is what there is.
You've never taken 1 ounce of responsibility, Rachel. Not a single grain of sand of responsibility. The Toiletgate thing, that was not your fault. That was because everyone misunderstood what you meant to say. And you meant to say that, you were actually protecting a woman who had depression. You were standing up for her. It had nothing to do with how people perceived it. And they are just mad because you are such a hard worker and get up at 4 a.m. That's why people are pissed off. And all the Christian fan base that you had before, they're just mad because you got a divorce. They just cannot understand that you, as a woman who's, living with an addict, and you didn't understand that you would want to escape from this relationship, but they just don't get it. They don't understand that's not your fault, that, their version of Christianity is different than the version that you now come up with after the fact. And yeah, it's just like, okay, all the mistakes that you've made, you've never ever said, I really fricked up there. The company, like all of the company stuff, you said you paid the vendors and it was on your heart to pay the vendors back. And it was COVID's problem that stopped the live events. And it was your company and all the people who posted the Maya Angelou quotes on your behalf without telling you. And it was your team, the PR crisis team that you hired, that told you not to respond, but you responded anyways because you whatever. It's like, nothing ever is her fault. It's not been her fault. The blisters on her toe are not her fault. She cannot take responsibility. And I find it to be funny that she doesn't see that, I guess. Maybe it's not funny. Maybe it's like part of the disorder.
And because I don't lie, I assume everybody's telling me the truth. Because I am loyal, I assume every new friend I meet is loyal and wants to be my friend to be my friend.
How many friends do you still have from before you got divorced? I would imagine 0. Every one of the influencer people that she was friends with either went to Dave's team or defected away from her 100%. So loyalty, not really.
Those are things, those are lessons that I have had to learn over time. We don't see life as it is. We see life as we are. So if you are faithful, if you are committed to the marriage, if you are those things, then it's not going to occur to you. If the person's not acting in any certain way, it's not going to occur to you that something's wrong. Like we just don't see what we never saw. That was the other thing, was that therapist asking me this question. I have went back around it over and over and over. For me personally, I didn't grow up in a house where anybody drank. And so I didn't know what it looked like to see a functioning alcoholic.
But you know enough to claim that you were one or are one yourself when it's convenient for you. So again, are you lying or are you delusional?
Functioning alcoholic hides their alcohol. And you don't know that they've been drinking since the morning. You don't know. And if you have no frame of reference, right? Like you're just like, oh, that's just how he acts. For you, I'm positive, are the same as me, because all humans have this, or I stand by the fact that women have this more. We have intuition. You have knowing. There is no way that your gut, that your intuition didn't know something was wrong. I don't mean that you knew on any level consciously, but I'm going to be willing to bet that this, if you weren't conscious something was wrong, this somehow manifested in your body, because that's what our intuition does. When she can't get our attention with what she's trying to tell us, when we're not listening, it'll show up with low back pain. It'll show up with, I had a girlfriend who was in a relationship with just a scumbag, it turns out. But there was just a lot of issues around infidelity. And she simultaneously was having a lot of issues with her uterus, with her PMS, like basically everything relating to her femaleness, her womanness was having issues. It's like these things are connected.
I thought we were calling them bleeders, and she was taking a very progressive approach, and now all of a sudden like, oh, being a woman means having a uterus, and she like flip-flops back and forth. She's no longer the most liberal. Hold on, where's that one? She is the most liberal of any liberal there has been liberaling. Where is it? Oh, well, damn it. But what? Okay, so speaking of what she's just, forget it. I can't find this somewhere. But speaking of what she's just talking about, which is like, oh, I'm sure my friend was dating a douchebag and she had issues with her reproductive organs. Okay, her reproductive health. Rachel, I just went through her YouTube claim, her YouTube channel. She claims to have many, many, many hormonal problems since she got with Kez. So what does that say about him? Like, using the logic of your body sends you signs, the fact that she has to eat seeds to balance her hormones, and because she has such bad PMS and she's bleeding these huge like clots, as she's claimed many, many times, unfortunately, disgustingly talking about this, in the shower, this happened to her and blah, blah, blah. Okay, doesn't that mean that Kez then is some sort of douchebag as well, causing her to not have, reproductive health? Right? Like, again, like, it's just victim blaming or blaming somebody for like having someone in their life that's causing their physical illness. It's like, it's just so stupid. It's just like people who don't have critical thinking skills just come up with this bullshit. It's like people who came up with tall tales, like, oh, why is it thundering? Oh, it's because, you know, the angels are bowling. Okay, do you really think that's true, or is it scientific? Like, it's just, you know, people, when they don't think very deeply, they come up with stuff like this. But it can be harmful, because it is shameful to say, oh, this is the reason you have cancer. This is the reason you have this disability. It's like, fuck you, you know?
I bring that up is because I think it's important for us to note when our inner knowing, when our soul, our spirit, our guardian angels, God, like when those things started to whisper to you was when your new path was being carved. And it's brutal. It is so freaking brutal to lose trust in the person you have the most trust in. And I do believe that we attract vibrations. And because I was in a relationship with someone I absolutely could not trust but didn't know it, I think I attracted that a lot in business. I think I attracted that a lot in friendships.
Okay, so it's all Dave's fault. All the people who've wronged her are not because she did anything wrong or she picked the wrong people. It was because Dave was around. And so she trusted Dave so much and so genuinely that caused all the other issues in her life too. Okay, that's good. And again, Dave is not alive to defend himself any longer. It's so interesting that she's waited until he passed for her to come out with all this information. It's very convenient and I think very rude to his memory.
Now 3 years later, just coming out of how painful that was to have unintentionally attracted people into my life that lied, that were disloyal, that were not friends with me in real life. They were there for what they could get. And I'm curious, maybe if you start to take a step back, if you're like, oh, dang, this thing that was happening in my relationship, that was also happening over here. This was showing up with this person, or this was showing up in this business relationship, because these things are always interconnected. And straight up, the process of going through a divorce or any kind of breakup is always going to be brutal, but especially when it's with someone who has lied and someone who has broken your trust, because man, it runs deep. It runs so deep. And let's just be real. You also have little kids. And when you have little kids that you're trying to uphold the story of who they think daddy is, because that is what is the healthiest choice for small children, that's a whole other kind of jacked up. The things that we do as mamas to protect our kids, I just want you to know that I know the layers of this. And the other thing that I can tell you,
you don't know shit about anything, Rachel. You don't know layers of anything. And I also think, yeah, I totally agree that she, even before he was dead, she was, insinuating a lot with dribbles and dribbles of little information through her podcasts and Instagrams that, Dave was a problem and Dave had a double life and she was upset about him, and that, her kids would bring stuff up to her and she had to, say, yeah, well, it is what it is. And he is, they know the truth and whatever. Like there was something about, they were at, like, it was her kids and they were at dinner or something, and they had said, like, I know that dad's bad, and she's like, yeah, well, it's true, or whatever, something like that. It's so convenient that, poor Rachel, everything that happened bad in her life is not her fault. Everything that happened good in her life, though, is all 100% hers, and Dave had nothing to do with it. The money that Dave provided, not important. You know, that's the patriarchy speaking. Like, you know, women just can't imagine that another woman could succeed. It's like, no one's saying that. Once again, no one is saying that you are not a hard worker. No one's saying that you didn't achieve a lot in your life. But the difference between someone who doesn't have financial support of $1 million working at Disney and someone who does is all the difference in the world. And that's what everyone's been saying from the beginning. And she's never given him enough credit. Dave, I think, I don't know. And it's hard for me to say because, okay, now he's passed and I look at things much more sympathetically than I used to when he was alive. But I think from what I remember, Dave was always pretty vulnerable, at least in my opinion, where he was like in tears saying like, I worry that she only loves me when I can provide. And then as soon as she didn't need him to provide, they divorced, which was sort of his worst fear coming true. And I find that to be more of a realistic take on this than, oh, Rachel just was so naive and so trusting and so loyal that she couldn't possibly understand that the whole world wasn't as trusting, as loyal as she is. That sounds like a person who's not quite thinking clearly. Oh, look who's here, Taro. Who's not quite caught up with reality, who's not quite living in a mindset of like, I am someone who, you know, makes mistakes because I'm a human being. She really is not there. She is like, everything that I've done wrong or been criticized for must have a solution outside of myself making a mistake. It must be Dave being, you know, a liar from the beginning. And I think, and I don't know, maybe this is me jumping ahead or jumping to a unfair conclusion, but I would guess that he was driven to drink by the pressures of him having to be this Tony Robbins, like, you know, supporter, this man who it wasn't enough for him to have this $1 million job. She wanted him to be a personal developed man that every year was growing with her stronger and being more fake and bullshitty. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that drove him to drink more. And I'm not saying that's her fault. Of course not. But it's also like those types of, you know, pressures is not really loyalty. That is like changing someone into someone they're not. And that can put people down a path where they no longer like themselves or love themselves. And if they have the predisposition to be an addict, I don't know. I'm just saying. But okay, we'll go back to her stupid explanation. This is getting me mad because, again, this reminds me of my mom. And this is why I've had such an issue with Rachel Hollis content, and why in the beginning when I started this channel, like I just kept, like I was so drawn to it because my mom thinks every single thing that's happened in her life is caused by someone else. Every single thing. Yet I can bring up 25 things and to say, you could have done this differently. You could have done this differently. Like, nope. There was no other way. There was no other way. It was everyone else that did it to me. And it just drives me nuts because that lack of responsibility, it makes having a relationship with that person impossible. Even though you love that person. I love my mother so much. She is like my mom, obviously. However, it's impossible to communicate with her because she just cannot take responsibility. Anyways, that's my personal story. Okay, bye.
That when you go through a breakup with someone who is disloyal, with someone who is a liar, unfortunately, the date of breakup is not when you will know all there is to know about all of the lies. At least in my experience and walking through it with girlfriends, unfortunately, you begin to discover a lot more than just what you thought was wrong. I freaking wish that the day I got divorced was the last time that I ever learned about that person. But unfortunately, that's not how it is. Because human beings are flawed and we're an onion, and under one layer is another. And it's a lot. But the course of your life, if you didn't know still, and you continued to be in a relationship with someone who does not respect you, doesn't respect themselves, is disloyal, hasn't done their own work, is all of these things, I know how freaking hard that is, but That was never what was best for you. That was never what was best for your kids. What is best for us is sometimes painful. What is best for us sometimes is that the bone has to be broken so it can grow back stronger than ever. And I love that you've been doing personal development and you've been working on yourself. And by the way, if I had $1 for every person I talked to, man and woman, who started working on themselves.
And you know who also worked on themselves a lot and in a way that I don't agree with anymore, but went to Tony Robbins conferences, talked to Tom Bilyeu one-on-one, was around all these people, were in leadership positions on masterminds and on private planes with Jay Shetty and around all these supposed, leaders of all of these personal development, fulfillment brands, and they have the wisdom that's going to inspire you. Okay, Dave Hollis was in that group. He was near them, talking to them, having interviews with them constantly. He was in therapy, allegedly. He was doing these physical trainings, this triathlons, and running marathons as well. And look what happened to him. It didn't work. It did not work. It did not change the trajectory of his life in a positive way in the end, ultimately. So what's the point of doing it all? Is it he's just a lost cause? He was such a bad guy that there was no way that he could possibly be saved? Or maybe personal development is a crock of shit. I don't know.
And then working on themselves was a catalyst for the end of their marriage. If I had $1 for every one of those people, I would fly around on an invisible jet like Wonder Woman. Because when we begin to work on ourselves and evolve, it shines a spotlight on our partner and where they are and where they're stuck. And there are plenty of partners who would rather go find someone who's more like the person you used to be. They want to go find someone who idolizes them. They want to go find someone who's still immature. They want to go find someone who's not doing work.
Okay, that I think is a dig at Heidi. And I agree with what she's saying that Heidi, if this in fact is what she's talking about, Heidi did idolize and still does idolize Dave because that's her condition, that she idolized her dad. And now she idolizes every man she's with. She idolizes her ex-husband, Chris Powell. And that's her issue in life, is that she's going to always idolize a man over everything else in her life. Okay. And that she is immature. I agree. But Rachel, you left Dave, unless you're saying that he cheated, which I don't think is true. I think it was very shortly after you broke up with him that he got with Heidi. And I think that's problematic, but not cheating. That he was a free single man and got with somebody else. That I agree with what she's saying, that, she's immature and whatever. But that's not your business anymore. So unless he, did it during the marriage, what do you care who he dates after you? You don't want him anymore. You went on with Kez and got on Raya immediately. So sort of a judgment again, like just to sort of like twist the knife a little harder in the whole situation. Like, oh, I'm so much better than her, than the next girlfriend he got with, an immature girl who I used to be like. It's like, what do you want him to do?
Because if this chick that he wants to go be with starts doing work on herself, she's going to see that he's a piece of crap. I recently went on a 50-mile hike. That's 50. It was one of the most physically challenging things.
Oh, so not only, she was so present on this walk, this hike, that she also decided to record an ad read about it too.
I've ever done in my life. And my sidekick, my co-pilot, was Keon Aminos. For serious, you guys. I have used Keon Aminos for a while to help me with my workouts. But this,
I guess it didn't work. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Over 20 lasting energy. on.com/RACH to get your fundamental supplement for fitness. Keon Aminos.
Another ad? Oh my gosh.
I was staying online learning program for even the school year. That's IXL.
There's so many ads in this one. Probably because she knew that it was going to be shared because she is talking shit about Dave. She's like, let's put 15 ads in it because this one's going to be a highly viewed or highly listened to episode. I know because I know my audience. She knew what she was doing here because the other one, the one about the hike that no one cares about, had no ads.
Evolve, y'all, /HOLLIS to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. If you start to learn and grow and evolve, y'all, and your partner's not, it's only going to make you more aware of how they're not leveling up.
That's such toxic advice. If you're doing better or whatever, not even just leveling up, like what does that even mean? And secondly, I'm no Christian, okay? I'm no like church goer person. However, if you know, I don't know, to me, marriage is like meaningful. And if you say vows for sickness and health, for better or worse, it doesn't say, if you don't level up, this is over. Like you choose somebody. And I know they got married young, but that's her mistake, you know? And then she profited off of the marriage for many years. So I don't really have that much sympathy, but that I don't agree with this sentiment. If your partner doesn't level up to your level, if you go to 4 Tony Robbins conferences and get a huge ego for no reason and they're not interested, dump them. That's a good tactic. It's like, that is so ridiculous and not going to help anyone's marriage or relationship life ever. So I wholeheartedly disagree with this sentiment on a basic level.
So it is textbook. For someone in that scenario, they are either going to go, oh, damn, I don't want to lose this. So I'm going to put my head down, figure my stuff out, go to my therapy, do what I need to do so that I can grow as a human being. Or they're like, oh, I'm going to go find someone who still only sees the best side of me. Gosh, it's so cheesy. I know we're talking about something serious, but it's so cheesy. But there was a perfect country song for this. I want to say it's George Strait. You Know Me Better Than That. Do y'all remember that country song from the 90s? Where he's talking about his new girlfriend. And he's like, she thinks I'm this and she thinks I'm that. And he's like, but you know me better than that. You know the me that gets lazy and fat. Yeah, it's so easy to show our best selves to a new person. And I know this sucks, but I promise you, this will go down as one of the best things that ever happened to you. And if you're listening to this right now and you have a partner that was unfaithful and you know, like, this is a deal breaker, I can't move forward. I'm sure plenty of you, I know people who have gone through infidelity and they did the work and they came out the other side stronger. That's beautiful. But for some people, that is a deal breaker. That is it. They can't go forward. If you're one of those people, I am telling you, this is not the day when you were broken. This is the day that you were made. This has the potential to be...
Okay, preacher. Very preachy of you.
The story that you are going to look back on and go, oh, that's the before and after moment. That's it. And even though that's true, it doesn't mean that this won't suck. It does not mean that this won't suck. It's gonna suck. It's so hard, especially when your life's intertwined, your work's intertwined, the kids, like, it's a lot. But on the other side of this is the best version of you. And I'm sure y'all have heard me say, if you've come to see me on tour this summer, I talk about this a lot, that when I went through my divorce, I did not imagine that there was a world where I would ever be in a relationship again. I'm not kidding. I was not the person who got divorced and was like, ooh, I can't wait to find love. I got divorced and I was like, fuck all men. They're the worst. I don't want any part of this. I just want to hang out at home
That's why she got on a dating app immediately. That definitely tracks. That makes so much sense. She is such a, not relationship person that she got with the one guy that she met on the app and stayed with him immediately, even though there's a million red flags that they're not a good match. Yes, for sure. She is very self-aware, for sure.
And just wear giant granny panties and never have to shave my legs. And I love being single and this is all I want.
You're delusional.
But now I can tell you 2.5 years into what I understand is my first actual adult relationship with a...
God, she's such a bitch. What are you even talking about? Your first adult relationship? You use your relationship with Dave as like the best example of why you are qualified to teach other couples and women how to live their lives. If you're denouncing that, then fucking do it. Don't say, I've given advice. I stand behind Girl Wash Your Face. I stand behind all my books. They're all relevant and great. But also everything that I said in there was talked or given advice while I was in a relationship with a child. And I was also a child. I don't know what you're talking about. You have not specifically stated any what's changed once again. So we're just left to think oh, she's always just leveling up. She's just leveling up. And Dave was the one thing that anything that ever happened bad to her that she's done that's kind of rubbed us the wrong way, it was his fault. And actually, she's got all the right answers, especially now.
Grown ass man who has done his therapy, has done his work, is a partner, not a boyfriend.
Okay, let me go back just for a second. So she's saying now Kez is a partner, not just a boyfriend. Yeah, but you guys are not legally married from what I understand. So I don't know. It seems like he never got married. She's saying he did all the therapy and stuff, but he still drinks alcohol, something that you claim that you were totally against at one point with Dave, but now you celebrate it and actually talk about it constantly in your own life. And he's also a drinker. And it's just I think she just said 5 seconds ago, it's really easy to show the best part of yourself to a new partner. 2.5 years in is still relatively new, I would say. And also she had a lot of free time with him without her kids for the first half of this relationship. Now she's got her kids a lot more, I would imagine. I hope that she's with her kids more now than she was when Dave was around. But let's test it out a little bit longer before we start giving advice about how great the new boyfriend is, because 2 years in is still pretty early on. And you guys are not legally bound together. So he could leave, you could leave at any point, and there's no ramifications. I don't think they live together either. I think he still lives in Austin, I'm imagining, or in Texas. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's really effed up too, to be like, oh, Dave was a douche and a child, and this new guy is so much better. It's just again, your kids just are fine with this. I don't know. Then I don't know. I just feel bad for Dave, honestly, because he had a lot of problems. I don't like his messaging, and I think he had issues, but I don't think he deserves this treatment from someone that he did share a life with for 20 years.
First actual adult relationship with a grown ass man who has done his therapy, has done his work, is a partner, not a boyfriend, a partner, meets me on every level, shows up for me on every level. I literally did not know this existed. I just want to say that to you. And I know that.
Also, okay, sorry. I know I'm getting emotionally frustrated by this whole thing. Wasn't Dave the one who said, when they had doubts about adoption, said, come on, Ray, we can do this? And she applauded him and said, he's the reason why I have my baby girl. Okay, that's not true anymore. isn't he the one who funded her business for the first like 10 years of the business? When she wanted to take risks, he would put up like $30,000 for her to take a risk. Is he not the one who took her on vacations and was a father to her 4 kids? Was he a bad father? Is that what she's trying to say? He wasn't there for the kids. He didn't like spend time with them. He didn't take them and do things together. He didn't go to church with them, which is what you wanted as well, and raise them in the church and have all that. He didn't buy the house or help you at least buy the house in the beginning before your book took off. Like, is that worth nothing at all? He's a child. He sounds like a man to me. I don't know. He sounds like a provider to me at the very least. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have issues, but I think he's at her level, if not far surpassed in what he's been able to do in his lifetime for his children and for her. So it's frustrating to hear like someone say that. It's just like, can you imagine if that was you? Like all of your life's legacy, your work that you've accomplished is just degraded into nothing because this tour manager comes around and is like, says, hey baby, I'm from England. Like, oh, okay. Everything that you've done is just in the trash. It's like, Jesus. Anyways, okay. Pokey Betch. Hello. Says, I'll never get over Heidi going to that Rach show. Yeah, that's also very weird. I don't know. Heidi's got her own host of issues, and I don't think her and Dave were good together because I think their issues together were like a bad mix of issues. But, you know, I think if she could take care of them and get into actual therapy, she would be a better, more real version of a person than Rachel will ever be. Honestly, I think if Heidi got into therapy, she could maybe overcome some of her problems that she displays, in my opinion, on Instagram. Rachel, I don't know. I'm telling you, I see my mom in her, and I don't have much hope for my mom to recover from her issues. It's scary because they're so in denial about everything. So, yeah, I don't know. Heidi's just... The fact that she would go to Rachel's thing shows how kind of weird she is.
Not even in that place. But there is a whole life, whether it includes a boyfriend, whether it includes a girlfriend, whether it includes you are happy and free and just, you know, doing your thing and you never have a partner again. Whatever it's going to be, Becky, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. In fact, most of the times that I've gone through the hardest things, it's always had the best stuff on the other side. So hang in there. Fight to trust again. And not trust everybody. Because what I took out of those years was that not everybody deserves my trust. People earn your trust through action.
Not everyone deserves the wonderful trust of Rachel Hollis. That's what she learned. That she should have been even more judgmental from the beginning. Okay, that's good.
But there are good people and there are loyal people. And when you're ready, you're going to find who they are. Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to talk about is that you said, you know, there was a time where you were doing personal development and you felt like you were really making strides, and now it feels hard to do those things. And I would tell you what I have said often when it comes to this subject. They think that we start working on ourselves and doing personal development and developing the habits so that we don't encounter hard times. But of course we will encounter hard times. This isn't the only hard time you're going to encounter. You're going to get through this and then something else will happen later. We do work on ourselves. We do unpack. We do go to therapy. We do develop habits that help us. Not so we don't encounter bad times, but so we have those habits to lean on when it gets hard. You haven't been doing this work for when life is easy. You've been doing this work because you knew on some visceral level that shit was going to get hard and you would have to be able to handle it. And I know you're going to handle it because those babies are counting on you. You've done hard stuff before. You have. And you've lived to tell the tale. And this will be hard too. But you are strong.
Supplements.
Oh, a piece
ad.
I speak Spanish pretty well, but not perfectly.
Ibiza would disagree.
And I have this vision. Rose vocab words. Feedback on 170 /
She really, once again, loaded up this podcast with ads. This is like the 6th ad that's been on this podcast.
You got this. I'm sorry that it's yours to carry. I'm sorry that you have to go through it. But I'm positive that you're strong enough to get it. I'm going to try and pick one that's a little bit lighter. This one says that Ashley wants to know how to use Palo Santo.
Oh, God, I can't even. Okay, that's where I draw the line. How do I use Palo Santo? Let me call in to Rachel Hollis, who is a white woman who literally bought Palo Santo for the first time like a year ago because her boyfriend likes it. So she it's her life goal to do everything for him and prove that she is the perfect partner for him. Yikes on bikes, you guys. Jeez Louise. My God. That was painful.
Priceless, juicy nuggets.
I don't know. That one pissed me off. And again, I feel like I don't want to rewrite history and be like, I've always been Dave's #1 fan and supporter, because I have not been. But I feel like his death really affected me, and I feel weird about saying that. And this is something Camille and I talked about in person when I was over there in Italy. And we were like ironically hiking a lot. We were talking about stuff. And we talked about Dave a lot. Like we talked about like how it affected us and how we felt about it and how it changed our trajectory of YouTube. And like Camille has sort of like stopped posting for a while partly because of, you know, the Dave stuff, but also just like thinking about like, are we doing more harm than good? Are we helping things? And, you know, I think Dave's death really like rocked my world, to be honest, because I have been so invested in like listening to the content. And at that time I was like very much like keeping up on it a lot. And I have a lot of opinions still about what he was doing and, you know, things Heidi was saying and things that Rachel was saying, but it made it feel like, you know, he, at the end of the day, all these people are real people, Rachel included. And I felt like I was too invested parasocially, #1. And #2, I feel like, you know, he's a real person going through real stuff. And at a certain level, I felt bad for him because I'm like, he was trying to, out of everybody, he was the one who seemed like he was trying to be real. He wasn't, but he was trying. And I feel like that is helpful in some capacity. And so now when I hear Rachel just give these like platitudes or rewriting of history tales of him, I get really defensive because I'm like, you know, he might have had his issues. And, you know, as many people have said, addiction is a disease. So if we're taking that route and saying addiction is a choice, but it's also a disease, and it's very difficult if you are an addict to get through. He had gone to a rehab. Now, I will say I was against him going to a rehab with a friend that owned it. I thought that was a mistake. The fact that he was leaving on the weekends to go see Heidi and Heidi was flying out to see him, I felt like was not a real, you know, crack at it. He should have really tried to do a real, you know, off the internet rehab program without trying to monetize it immediately on his podcast afterwards. But it could have been this first step in a long road into recovery. And I think part of the issue too is that this industry has been set up this way and that it's your fault for joining it. But at the same time, he was following the path of a lot of these other gurus who have probably secret addictions as well and secret affairs and problems. And he probably knows or knew like the inner workings of that and thought, okay, well, if they're doing it, I can do it too. I've, you know, worked at one of the biggest companies in the entire history of the world at a high level position. He probably had a lot of ego from it. And then he's married to like the biggest egomaniac of all time. I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to so heavily snark on people, even though I just did it with Rachel. But I want to give people more of a fair shot to be humans. And I think with Rachel, it's worked for her as well. Like being this way, what I think is pretty, I don't want to say psychotic, but like being this egomaniac, work, make up lies, tell stories, change the truth, change the narrative, do whatever she wants to do to fit the trend of that day, has worked for her and has provided her millions of dollars. So I feel like that's why she does it. And yeah, I think that is part of the problem. It's the people who are the players, but it's also the game. And the game is working for a lot of people. Jay Shetty, Ed Milet, Mel Robbins, they're all full of shit. They all are hiding stuff. They're all, lying about things all the time. Yet they're constantly rewarded for focusing on the bullshit part. And that's the problem. And Dave was a victim of that, honestly. And yeah, so it's like if he were to talk about his addiction openly about how probably severe it was, how much he was in it, people would probably not want to pay for his coaching, probably would not want to be coached by him to lose weight with Heidi. They probably would be turned off by him, like, oh God, like he's doing cocaine every night. I can't trust this guy, and back off, which is fair. But that is what probably was happening. He's like, I'm making a business decision by hiding this. And, it led to what it led to. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. Okay. On that note, again, Dave dying really bothered me and still does. And I feel badly for him that he ended his, not that he ended his life, that his life ended the way it did. And that the last couple years of his life were what he had, because I think he was pretty miserable, to be honest. I think it was a miserable situation for everyone involved. The kids involved, I feel bad for them. I think Rachel is probably miserable somewhere deep down. Come here. Terrell's like, I can tell you're getting upset. And I am. And I think also me too, it's like, I got to realize, like, I think I got in too deep. I thought that I was really understanding these people by listening to their podcasts, and that was my mistake. Because I don't know them, and none of us do. But, parasocially, I was like, oh man, like, this affects my life. And in reality, it really doesn't, or it shouldn't. But, I was also like not sleeping for a while, like for weeks afterwards. It took me a long time to fall asleep after Dave died. And I feel like I'm still, as someone who never met the guy ever, I still, he'll pop into my mind and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he's dead. And I feel like the people that actually knew him in real life have completely moved on. And have act like he never existed. And I feel like that's a shame, because I think there are lessons to be learned from his story. Personally, I think he can do more good now than maybe he could do before. Anyways, Taro says hello. Yay, hi. There's her tail. When she wags, that means hello. Anyways. All right. If you'd like to join the membership, since we're doing this more like one piece of content per stream, like one podcast, one video, maybe two, but not like a whole deep dive live stream anymore, at least for now. I'm going to be asking for links in the Reddit, and I'm going to try to ask people to vote for which, episode, which link they want to watch. So there's more involved in the voting process. So if you're interested in that, you can join the membership, either level. The higher level, you get your name at the end. Hey, and then I sing a little song / little story time about all of your names, and it's fun. And then Tara will also psychically send you a meow if you join. Also, there's merch still available. There's I'm Manatee Festing merch. Hold on, I have a sticker. I've been playing with it for this whole stream. Tara, are you laying on the sticker? Well, there's Manatee merch and there's True Sadness merch still available. Link below. And if you want a walking pad and you want to buy it from Amazon, link below as well. That's it. That's my hard pitch. My hard pitch sales pitch. And Part-Time Jiu-Jitsu, thank you so much. Part-Time Jiu-Jitsu says, it is what it is. Camino Spirit Guide. Your toes have blisters. That is ancient wisdom. Your toes may have blisters, girly girl. And restaurants don't open till 9 p.m., says your spirit guide. Thank you, Part-Time
This
Jiu-Jitsu.
is gold, straight up.
Thank you, Part-Time Jiu-Jitsu. And also I say...
I have dyslexia so bad.
Thank you. And Peace Train. Thank you, Peace Train. Peace Train says, appreciate the trip to Hollisville. Therapeutic. You're welcome. We all need to go down that road ever so often. And hopefully I didn't just ramble on too long. Did I?
No.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Heidi. I don't believe you.
I'm going to smash your phone.
Wow. Where's my boldface lie? Oh, I got to add that. Boldface lie needs to be on this list. Dang. Okay.
I can conquer the world.
There you go, Heidi. Thank you, Peace Train. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So time for a song. And then also, if you would like, in the comments or wherever, let me know if there's any videos that you'd like me to watch on the next stream, because we can do it. I was thinking Craig, and we need to do Craig. This is gold straight up Craig, because he just cracks me up every time by looking away and not paying attention to any of his podcast interviews. It's too funny. More Ed Millett, more Tony Robbins, maybe some Dean Graziosi. I would say Jenna Kutcher, but she is so boring, and every video I've ever done about her does not do well. So unless it's really juicy, like juicy priceless nuggets, let's skip her because she's boring. I'm sorry. And then when Heidi comes back, obviously we'll have to talk about Heidi again and listen to Heidi's stuff, because Heidi never gets old. All right, everybody, peace out. Time to sing some Camino Trail songs. Okay, bye. Ooh. Starry nights. When you're walking down the trail, did you see the yellow lights? That's called trail markers. It's a thing that they use before GPS. Can you believe it? That's loco. Nicole Campbell. Did you know they make sandwiches in Europe? Everyone needs to learn. Just research. That's all you need to do. Heather DeMaio. What about you? Would you hike a trail 100 miles? Or would you quit after one because your toe hurts? We may never find out, because Rachel Hollis made everyone never go on the Camino Trail again. I don't think the Spanish Tourism Board is going to call her anytime soon. What do you think about that, Tiffany? How many Michelin star restaurants have you been to lately? That's what Rachel Hollis would ask you, in a condescending way, just to see what you'd say. Chels Marie. What do you think about the service providing the luggage being carried? Did you think that Kez was Rachel? Because I did as well. Chels Mary, what was your take on this? Also, what hat would you pack on a trip to be hiking? Would you get a Stetson? That was probably uncomfortable. Or would you wear a baseball cap? Or no hat? Let me know. Oh yeah. Randy Cannon. Do you think that the Spanish town of, what was it, Delba? is ever going to recover from that podcast? I say yes, because I don't think anyone listens to Rachel Hollis' podcast anymore. But who knows? Apparently there's an audience, because she does bring a small crowd in still, which shocks me every time. And Blood Bath Body Works. I just need to comment about your name. That is very funny. I always get that one, Bath and Body Works and Bed Bath and Beyond together. So basically, Blood Bath and Beyond Works would be a great name as well. And so I support you in your YouTube adventures. Blood Bath Body Works. So funny. What flavor scent are you going to get today at Blood Bath Body Works? Plasma or iron? I don't know. It's a toss-up. Alaska Blue Tundra. How's it going? I'm not really rhyming or singing because I don't have rhythm. And I think the Spanish music is harder to get into the groove when you're a white person. But that could just be me. I don't know what about you. Crystal G. Don't judge me, please. I speak Spanish just as well as Rachel Hollis does. Okay. Crystal G, what do you think of Ibiza? Letha B, what do you think about Ibiza? Will you be attending Ibiza anytime soon? These are the questions I want answered before the next stream. And Joms, you always make me laugh in the chat. Sometimes I get distracted because I'm reading your funny comments. Joms, you have the charm. And if I saw you walking on a hiking trail, I would say you're the bomb. Do you have some snacks? Because we didn't pack any snacks. And you'd say, no way. A consul would say, I want some salami, or maybe some ham and cheese on bread, because we are so advanced and American. That's what we say. Can I get some ham? That's a good American accent that I just did right there. Lindsay Walden, what's up? What's going on? Lindsay, what's up should be your name. Am I right? Everyone just asks what's up. That would make me say, yeah. Tara's like, what are you doing? She's like, stop it. This song sucks, Mom. That's what she's saying. And I say, I agree. I agree, Taro Kitty. Kara Soda says, yeah, me 3. Why don't you just shh and go away? Heather Hope says, I want that too. Today. Taro's like, pet me, please. That reminds me, I gotta call the vet for Taro to get her prescription flea medicine. Isn't that right, Taro? Not Jenna Cash says, tell me more about your to-do list. Well, I'm glad you asked. I also have to send an invoice tomorrow. I better write that down or I'll forget. I'll show those kids. Are you still listening and watching? Because that would be crazy. There's nothing left to say except hola, como ve? Taro is trying to eat the microphone, and I want to get a can of caffeinated cherry cola sparkling water provided by Good and Gather, sponsored by Target. That's what you want to say, Anne, right? Sponsored ad by Anne. The Velvet Finch. I always want to say the Elf Finch. But that's not the name that you provided me. It's the Velvet Finch, not the Elfin Inch. But when the words are always combined, it's hard to see. And so I will always just get it wrong the first time I look. Until I decide it's time to put a space in there for my own sanity. Kimberly Harris smiles. How many miles could you walk on the pilgrimage? Did you know pilgrims love Michelin star restaurants? That's what they said. They were on the Mayflower. It's a different kind of pilgrim, but still. They came on the Mayflower and the Nina and the Pinta. No, that's different. That's wrong. I'm such a history nerd, you guys. So the pilgrims on the Mayflower came and they showed up on Plymouth Rock and they said, "Where's the Michelin star restaurants? In Paris they have boulangeries. And here, all I see are sticks and rivers. What the heck?" I guess they didn't go down to St. Augustine, which was a bustling town by then. They just ignored that part in the history books. And they demanded that the restaurants get open so they can have their dinner. Because you will be in a calorie deficit. And fried food is great, but it's not good for me when I have to hike with slimy feet. Wow, we got through that, guys. We did it. We got through that. All right, everyone. See you next time. Bye. Bye, Taro. Say bye. Thank you.